and welcome here, everyone. We are excited to be underway with week number 4, the 4th out of 5 weeks that we are going to be here. So teams really need to start scraping it together and get ready for their playoffs run. Today, we're going to have teams that are battling out for what could be the last spot in their division. My name is Orbital. With me is, of course, a little bit of a new face here to the ADL. It is Volt. Volt, welcome here to the desk. How you feeling?
Well, great. You know, it has been a while since I've been back to Aegis. I think it has been 6 months now. So it is always great to come back. It's always great to see new faces and some old faces as well. You know, I recognize some of the teams in the other groups, but it's also great to see new organizations come into this place. And well, from what I've seen from the groups, as you said, you know, they're duking out for the last place. Neither of those two teams have actually gotten any serious wins, but one of them at least has scraped the map through, so maybe a bit of hope. Of course, with the bye week, that was courtesy, if I remember correctly, for the side of Northeastern University Red. They're the team that have lost less, but that would mean so much more if they lose this one too.
Yeah, it's a very difficult position to be in, but it means that there's so much more to play for here on the day. Let's go ahead and introduce some of the teams that'll be joining us here today, starting with the side of Northeastern University. You go ahead and have Beastiel, you have Eunuch, you have Sad, you have Clove, you have Kleptic, as well as Rockin' Us, who is going to be rocking out here. They are unfortunately 0-2-0-4, haven't been able to pick up a series win, and with that being said, it's hard to say exactly what's going wrong as we haven't seen them throughout this entire split so far on stream.
Yeah, this is their first time to be shown on stream, so hopefully they don't even have any pressure from the side of the stage, which can be the problem for Luminary. Well, they have been here, and they don't look as convincing either. You know, we talked about Northeastern 0-2-0-4. Well, at least there's a 1 on the game record between Samurai Jack, My Back is Sore, Really Bad Zed, Mpix, and Lil Libra Baby. They have been playing with a lot of fill, or substitutions rather, which can be a part of the problems. Hopefully that's actually resolved, and we'll see them in full force because they need this win. Otherwise, they are guaranteed to be in the final spot.
All right, well, let's dive straight into the draft. Let's see if they got what it takes to really give us a test of what for. Both the teams are still waiting to kind of figure things out, but as we mentioned, Northeastern is going to be on that blue side, and you're looking at Luminary Gaming, and they're going to be trying their best there on the red. And I'm very curious. Again, we're not in the fearless draft phase, so all champions are open the entire time. You're going to try and grab the main meta picks here. You can already see it's going to be that Janna targeted down towards that bottom lane. As you mentioned, some of the teams have very specific champions in there, and maybe that's why we are seeing the likes of the Janna, the Pantheon, as well as the Vladimir and the Yone. So very interesting bans here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's good bans. They're gonna push that one through. Jinx and Vladimir and Yone are all out of commission for the side of Northeast, which actually prompts them to start their draft with Diana rather, not Diana. Diana is the one that's banned. And well, that opens up a lot of avenues, because if you think about it, Diana can still go mid if there's an opportune matchup. Of course, you'd think that she'll default to the jungle, and with that out of the way, you've opened yourself up with a draft pick that is a flexible one, unlike that Renekton, who primarily is going to go to that top side, but he at least provides you safety in a very strong laning phase.
Yeah, it's a little bit leaning towards that early game, and I'm curious where they are, where they're aiming for Luminary. Luminary is so far kind of pining towards taking advantage of the top side of the map and then work your way down, and that kind of makes sense with the Milio locked in here. That does signal a little bit more scaling into the ADC position. Milio loves extending that extra damage, you know, that extra range and all. So go ahead and line into a late game ADC, and you can get away with that very easily. For Northeastern, though, you're looking for that wombo combo, and if it is going to be a wombo combo, I would expect to see something like a Yasuo, like an Orianna into that mid lane, something a little bit more power heavy, something with a little bit more punch that can match with that Diana's aggression. And the Darius and then the Karma is not exactly what I would line into, so this is all out run you down power.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, if you're actually going to consider it that way, these are two picks that are lane defining and lane winning in their own. Darius can absolutely win the Renekton matchup with enough proficiency. And well, for the side of Luminary, I guess that Milio is just one of the comfort picks for Lil Libra, because that's what I have at least been saying on their side. Of course, the Janna is the main but Midia also doesn't stray that far away from that playstyle. And well, with a Kai'Sa, you've got a very strong AD carry who, unfortunately though, is in range of the Darius, of the Diana, of the Karma, and whoever else is going to come into the next phase. So sure, you got the power, but I feel like it's a very thin line that you're actually playing for.
I don't like this. Again, if you had the Milio, I would rather stay by the Milio the entire time. This is a Kai'Sa that is running away from the Milio, but granted, as you said, it can be powerful if you get off to a good start. That's going to be a Hui, though, banned away, as Northeastern is going to be looking for a mid lane. Same with Luminary, and you can kind of see where their focus is. I think the Hui is a great ban here. Northeastern are like, yeah, we're kind of going for power in every lane, and I think Hui is one of the best neutralizers in lane. You're able to do so much. You're able to kind of get away with a lot there, and you can see Northeastern kind of doing the same thing. Hey, we don't want you to have the Orianna. We don't want you to have this dive threat potential. Granted, I don't know where the Orianna would fit in here. I feel like something like a Syndra might be a little bit better. Granted, I am very partial to the Syndra myself, but there is an ADC ban just as well. So the Ezreal not going to be played.
Yeah, Aurora as well to basically round out the ban phase for Northeastern. And well, now they have a little bit of a limited option though on the side of Luminary, because you need to pick a mid laner. And I feel like the Syndra is a good shout. There are a fair amount of good shouts, but they actually elect to keep their mid laner for the last pick, which might drown the pool out a little bit, because if I am on the side of Northeastern University, I would actually be more leaning into that, taking that Diana in the jungle and then picking another strong mid laner that works with the rest of the team, maybe another mid laner that can actually empower that play style, because you got a lot of movement speed from the Karma. And I feel in a game like this, I actually wouldn't even mind the Sivir myself with the Skarner as well. That is another layer of close range power. They don't elect to go for the Sivir, they go for the Varus. That does actually offer long range, so the Kai'Sa doesn't feel as comfortable in the laning phase itself. Very high power with the Karma, and a devastating level 6 all-in.
Yeah, this is... I mean, with the Varus and the Skarner locked in B4 and 5, this rounds out the composition very neatly. It does mean that the Diana is going to the mid lane, and that means Luminary, yeah, you can play something like the Ahri to kind of keep away, but honestly, the composition out of Northeastern looks very comfortable. Outside of the Diana, in my opinion, which I'm going to have my reservations about, you look at this all-around composition, and it holds very well. The entire composition just screams, if you want to fight us, we will take you down. And Luminary Gaming, you see the Nocturne rise at the R4 position, and it makes sense. I get why you would draft it. I get why it would be there. However, I'm a little bit worried. A lot of this is tapered towards that early game, and you don't really have a whole lot of beef in there. Luminary Gaming, if they don't roll this early game, I get very worried about their mid to late.
Yeah, and even the early game really... it's pretty fickle. Sure, like it's very good for the Kai'Sa to have safety of the Milio. They can scale. Nocturne's gonna be online at level 6. Ahri is pretty much as safe as any mid laner can be. But my one worry though is going to be the fact that the Nocturne isn't gonna be as active as the Skarner early on. So when I consider something like that, and I compare Eunuch to my back is sore, of course, on the side of Luminary, you're gonna wonder, like, can Luminary actually withstand the first few levels? Because Ahri is not gonna have any problems. Milio and Kai'Sa can actually try to push the Skarner away with the Milio Q, but then the top lane is the one that I'm looking at the most, because that one can easily go awry. And I feel like if the Darius gets the lead in this game, he can absolutely make it unplayable for everyone, save the Ahri. And even if that's the case, Ahri doesn't do enough damage on her own to stand up to that top laner.
We've seen Ahri's do damage, but I do agree in a singular kind of vacuum, things go awry, and that is why we're really curious to see how this plays out. Northeastern, Rakunas going ahead and playing that Darius, Eunuch playing in that Skarner role, Sad playing that Diana, Clove playing that Varus, and then Kleptic playing that Karma. On the other side, we got Slamurai Jack for Luminary Gaming on the Renekton. My back is sore on that Nocturne, really bad Zed on the Ahri, Mpex on that Kai'Sa, and little Libra Lady on that Milio. Volt, if you had to kind of lay your chips down, considering both teams have yet to get a serious victory, who are you leaning on to in this game one?
Well, draft alone, I might actually prefer Northeastern, but just knowing how easy it is for some of those lanes to be able to stabilize, I think Luminary does have a lot of avenue to make up for it with outplays, especially from the Kai'Sa, because I feel like the Kai'Sa and the Varus are going to be the two things that are actually either going to win or lose the game for those two sides. The Varus has the innate advantage of having higher range and having a lot of beefy frontliners with both the Darius and the Skarner to play for, but then the Paranoia can absolutely turn all of that off, and that's what I'm counting on. I'm counting on Luminary winning this game one off the back of them stabilizing the early game, and then the Nocturne coming alive when they need it towards the skirmishes.
All right, well, we'll see if they can do it right now. We are going to go to a very short break as both teams are going to get loaded onto the Rift once they are set. We are hopping into game one of this Bo3 to see which team is going to lock in a game on their way to their first series victory. Please don't go anywhere. The ADL will be right back.
Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
And off we go to the main attraction. We are set to go for this game. Number one, we got the Ahri in the mid lane versus the Diana. We got the Nocturne in there as well. We have a lot of champions that can make a very high impact on the Rift, but they have to have the right moments. They have to have the right laning phase, and they have to have the right kind of, I want to say, team up ability. We got a Nocturne in the jungle that wants to make plays with the battery of the Ahri, and the bot side, we got things like the Kai'Sa and the Milio, and I don't even have to touch on the top side.
Yeah, top side is actually where the fun gonna be at. It's not two tanks just throwing wet noodles at each other. It's the Renekton and the Darius, and they are ready for blood. Speaking of which, luckily enough for Soar, did not contest Eunuch there, as that could have been deadly. The ward is set early on, and I think that they have spotted it on the red side, but no pings on it does actually alarm me a little bit. So bare minimum, there is a slight win for Northeastern University here, as they've gotten their own early vision, and that vision will guarantee the position of the Nocturne. There is a ward in tandem from Libra Lady towards the other Raptors here of the blue side, so both teams should be well accounted for in terms of early ganks, which is actually more beneficial to my back as Sword, because as we said, like Nocturne, you really don't want to do that much until level 6. You just want to keep it easy, farm, chill in the game, and maybe, just maybe, you know, you start towards the top side just in case there's like a very early gank opportunity there after 2 or 3 camps.
It's like the North American, you know, adulthood series. As soon as you hit level 6, you're just tossing in the fray, and if you don't gank at that point, then you're in trouble. Before then, you better not make a move. You better sit in class and, you know, farm your camps and all. It's kind of what the way we see it, because I think that is a huge point. You said farm up to level 6, and it's true. But as soon as you hit that level 6, we need to see that ult used. We need to see that paranoia used to create space, create opportunity. That's what a Nocturne does. And actually, I always like to say, every level after 6 that you do not ult for the first time, I discount your Nocturne, because it's that strong. I feel like a lot of the time you want to have that level of strength. So already level 3 making the way across, so both junglers are on pace, and we can already see a little bit of that touch and go as well from the mid lane, the Diana and the Ahri, Bad Zed and Sad, both trading appropriately.
Yeah, good trades, everything is stable. The bot lane is where both junglers are going to eventually end up at. And well, with the priority being over towards the side of Northeastern University, if you're on the side of Luminary, you're pretty chill with taking some damage. Of course, the wave prize is going to be on the other side. Meanwhile, Renekton brought down a little low. Luckily enough, has enough Call the Meeks, no mana necessary, so they should be able to heal up in time, but they need to be careful here with Samurai Jack. Otherwise, they may lose their lives. This could have been an angle for a dive if they actually decided to stay towards the top side of the map. Luckily enough, neither of the two junglers are there, so no real kill pressure, but maybe an early plate if they want to go for it.
I think that's what they might be looking for anyways, as Mpex is realizing that, hey, I need to get out of here. Great little speed boost in, but Eunuch saying, we still want to fight this. Soar going ahead and grabbing that scuttle and hanging on to a little bit of a camp lead, but at the current moment it didn't really amount to much, so a little bit of a chase out, damage handed over to Libra and Mpex, and back they go. So Eunuch losing out on the camp lead. Sad might be getting ganked here though, and you're a Diana, you don't really have much to play for, might have to burn that flash. It is going to be a flash for flash, as Soar is getting a lot of value here in the early game.
Yeah, high amount of value. This Diana can be hit again once you do get that paranoia. For the bot side, however, I'm pretty sure we've seen Impacts and Lil Lady Libra actually go for that play and try to damage Eunuch a little bit, is to guarantee that 2 scuttle start now. That is guaranteed for Sword, even after getting that kill. So the recall from Skarner, while sure, it has kept him on pace for his own camps, it has actually given away a significant XP lead for that Skarner that can eventually use it back again towards middle if they want to, or what should eventually be the bot lane, which sure, it is losing for now, but they shouldn't be taking a lot of damage. Second recall is in. Lady Libra should not have that much problems handling the mana of the Milio. But yeah, you can tell which side of this trade should always be winning. It's always going to be the Varus Karma early on. And with the first dragon spawning just in a few seconds, which I assume that is going to be, yeah, it is an Ocean actually. I thought, oh, no Icon, probably a Hex deck, but it is an Ocean Drake. Great for the early laning phase, especially for the two top laners that haven't been on camera for a while, but there is a CS gap that is actually starting to grow at Darius.
I mean, it's extending much further, and we're seeing that in the levels as well. I'm sure as Rock might be able to hit that level 6 and just look for an all-in if they wish. They even dropped a ward a little bit deeper. They were checking inside of the river. Mid lane, we're also seeing that dance as Really Bad Zed is able to land that charm. It's a very telegraphed in when Sad jumps, so that is something that we're going to be watching for. Level 6 still primed and ready, but we are starting to see that shakeout of where everyone is currently standing. Level 6 hit for Sad. He had that Moonfall ready to go if you can get the damage down, but for the current moment, both mid laners playing very, very evenly right now.
Yeah, and I like that from Sad. You know, you try to get your push, and sure, you're gonna lose a minion or two right now, but I was hoping that Sad is actually going to recall, because with that, maybe you could at least pressure one of the two objectives of the fully healed Diana that does have a Moonfall. And it doesn't seem to be the case. No Paranoia for Soar either. But with that Dragon, you should have that one completely for free off tempo for the side of Northeastern University. And with Libra as well on the assistance there, not a lot of HP will be lost. And without the Impale for Eunuch, yeah, no way that they're actually going to contest that. And they aren't even trying to trade cross maps. So while sure, they are going to start the grubs and it is not in the place for Luminary to contest that one, they're completely spotted. So for the side of Luminary, they feel complete comfort taking that recall, knowing, hey, we traded the 1-for-1. We don't need to worry about them re-engaging on us or staying in lane a little bit more. It's all well and done. And while the grubs are good, again, for the Darius, for the Varus, if they get top priority, they haven't even touched the towers in any of those 3 lanes. So it doesn't seem to be that beneficial as of yet, at least, in comparison to that Ocean Dragon they've acquired.
I think right now we are seeing that that slight pacing change here, as we are seeing the gold lead start to extend out about 300 gold. And now we're seeing a chance down to the bot side. Mpex, you are unfortunately getting run down here, has to burn the flash. And that feels bad. I mean, you are 1v2, and we mentioned that Clove and Kleptic are going to run the show here. So losing that flash now means Mpex can't step up. Chain of Corruption is about to be hit on the side for this Varus. So yeah, you really can't do much now as a Kaisa.
Yeah, I really cannot actually try to play the 2v2. Maybe the 3v2 when the Nocturne decide to hit his way, or even Really Bad Zed on the Ahri. Like, by now, the Ahri shouldn't have mana problems with Lost Chapter either, and should be able to push the waves out against that Diana. Just keep her in lane for a little bit more, but it seems like that is not the case. If anything, we're actually seeing Sad is the one that's trying to push the waves out more, maybe trying to make something happen eventually later down the line. Everybody is on level 6 at least, other than the 2 bot lanes. So this is where we might start seeing a Paranoia coming in from My Back is Sore, and that's why we see that early ward coming in from Sad if you look on the minimap. They want to make sure that the Nocturne is accounted for, and they're trying to ward everywhere they can be. So by now, by elimination, basically, they know where the Nocturne is, and they have been pinged, and they are aware that they can make a play towards the bot side. So that's why we're seeing them even playing even more reserved than what they should be, given their own lane state.
And even Sora is realizing that they are getting warded out very heavily, so I like the fact that you, of course, obviously need that sweeper, but using it pretty much off cooldown is going to be really, really nice. We are still waiting to see that first ultimate, but as you said, it's a little bit difficult for them to hop on in, so we'll see how it plays out. Right now, for the side of Luminary, they are, you know, taking their time once again, and now maybe looking into that mid lane if they get the chance. I mean, the ultimate can cover a lot of ground, and they are going to call it. That is going to be a dive. Flash was up just in time for Sad, but that is a great charm and a finish, and that is a pretty much free first blood.
Yeah, free first blood. Of course, it didn't come in time before the flash did come back again, but luckily enough, My Back is Sore did not need to expend their own flash. Instead, the Paranoia and the charm were landed in succession, so they didn't need to do much else. That is a big lead for them towards the mid lane. Lead that they will be hoping that Really Bad Zed not only is actually going to be winning in their own lane and maybe trying to get ahead of the Diana, but hopefully expand that lead towards the other side lane. If we see the Chain of Corruption hitting, it's an instant ultimate from Midio, but they need to be wary of that corner, even with the DP coming in.
I think this is that was just really bad. Zed getting the bot lane out of a really what could have been a really bad position. Again, everyone's still fighting for that first feat as well, so you have to play this smart and using that TP, especially considering you just got a kill on Sad who burned their own TP. It's not the worst thing in the world. You go ahead, head back. What do you lost almost 0 CS? You're still even in there, but that's a bot side. It's Clove able to find a kill, and Mpex had no chance.
Yeah, we didn't see it, I think, but on the minimap, I'm pretty sure we've seen Unix use that Impale. Go in with that Ishtal impact as well, find that first kill towards the bot side. This is the second time that Impact has been caught, and I've talked about this a little bit early on in the draft. This Kai'Sa, while they can actually output a lot of damage, it's just a real problem of the reach of the Kai'Sa, because every time the Kai'Sa is in range to try to auto, try to output some damage, you are in range of those people that do have the engage tools. Whether you're talking about the Impale, the Moonfall, the Chain of Corruption, all of these are powerful tools that can very easily catch the Kai'Sa off, especially considering it's only the Renekton that's going to be there in the front line, and a good trade from Sad, which does actually bode really well for the side of Northeastern. They're not out of this one just yet. They're still keeping up in both the feats for the warfare and the first objectives, and they might trade 1-for-1 again, because we can see Eunuch is towards the top side and it is Soar towards the second dragon. So keeping even in terms of the feat, but one team is definitely getting closer towards that dragon soul they actually go for.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and see that pushing power being granted, though. And something that we haven't mentioned, again, is Rockin' in this top side has been slowly powering up, but hasn't really gained anything with that Darius that we mentioned that we want to see kind of explode out onto the field. So it's been a little bit of a slow angle here. Dragon will go ahead and be covered, and it will be the Ocean and the Fire, which brings a very interesting pack to see what this soul is going to be. But that's another Chain of Corruption.
Oh.
Just is not enjoying this one, but there's going to be the Paranoia, and this is the call that you want. Clove might need to flash, but has a barrier. Getting extra shield from Kleptic as well, and it seems that honestly Luminary Gaming didn't really have the right ideal of who are they going to go for. So both Kleptic and Clove are allowed to live.
Trying to go for both here, especially in that kind of position, is very difficult, because you needed to focus on at least just a single player of the two of them. And I think the better option probably would have been the Karma, but luckily enough for you though, while sure, he didn't get the kill now, the next Paranoia, Kleptic has no summoners and Clove only has a flash, so should be just an engaged call on Kleptic, find a kill on the Karma, try to overwhelm them with that one too, but speaking of being overwhelmed, really bad Zed, despite getting that first kill, still losing in place of that Diana, and that's power of the Diana, you know? Very good attack speed. Excellent wave clear once you are actually comfortable enough in the lane, and as long as the other mid laner can just bully you by their extended range, that's always going to be the situation. You're going to be able to get in range, and while the charm is a good tool to counter the Diana, if she does commit to the all-in, if you just keep throwing crescent strikes, there is no problem, but there might be a problem here for Samurai.
Samurai going ahead and getting chunked out here. That was a small rotation, but it's still a quarter of your HP, and you can see Rockanos trying to swing the weight around. Already had the Triforce built above and ahead of Samurai, who even ran the Cole, who they were able to expend all those charges, but it's still a problem as the topside tower is getting hammered right now. And we'll give credit, Rockanos, even though it hasn't been great, it has been there. Now on the bot side, we're seeing a flash in as Kleptic has nothing. Great jump in as the Libra goes ahead and helps out with a flash ult of their own, and it is going to lead to a two-piece in the bottom side as Luminary Gaming taking one over Northeastern.
Yeah, and not just one. They found a two. They found a feat of warfare. So already on the first of the feats of strength, the Nocturne is 3-0. And that's exactly what we talked about. I thought that they're going to do it with the Paranoia, but it was an overextension from the side of Northeastern there. Clove and Kleptic caught off, and remember, it was only the flash from Clove that was available for that trait, so they definitely overextended there. Didn't expect the Nocturne to be in that position, and that comes down to the great D-warding that we're actually seeing from the side of Luminary Gaming. We got 19 vision score, now 20 from My Back is Sore, and 17 from Libra Lady. So they're making sure that that Nocturne has ample coverage, has ample space, and by the time they actually get the rank 2 Paranoia, range is going to be much less of a concern. And when that happens, you need to stop trying to read where the Nocturne is coming from, and there he goes again.
Very, very nice punch in, and then you dash right to the side. Easy pickup for really bad Zed. The damage is enough. Even Sad had that flash, and it didn't do anything for them. So we are starting to see that punch forward from the side of Luminary Gaming. On the top side, though, in a 1v1 position, Rakanos getting chunked out a little bit. But again, that cleave, that damage is real. Flashes up for Slamurai, but I don't think Slamurai really understood that. Flash out, though, as Slamurai should survive, but the bleed is going to force them low. Eunuch gonna come over the wall, though, and finally show their face. But guess who's coming up to the top side? My back is sore, saying hello. And unfortunately, that's a pinch on the other side. Great call from this squad. It's a 1v1. Both top laners are about to go low, and they're both deleted from this game. However, in the jungle experience, Eunuch is very, very tanky. But of course, in a 1v2, you don't exactly win that one out. So great call by my back is sore to make sure that's an even trade in the top side.
Yeah, great work from Sor there. First the Paranoia towards the mid lane to find that kill, and then the read again to move towards the top side, trade that 1-for-1. So sure, you would have actually preferred not losing Samurai Jack, but just the movement from the other side was a bit too much for you. And now the Libra Lady has to be careful in that position that they are in. No summoners on that Milia, luckily enough. No Chain of Corruption and no Mantra for Kleptic, so they don't get slung that much right now. And the Varus is going poke, which actually might pose a problem and might be a solution at the same time. The problem is you're starting to lack in the DPS department because you don't have an actual consistent carry. You're relying on the Diana, and Diana's kind of bursty in nature. But on the other side, poke Varus even extends the range of the Varus themselves, so you are pushing the Ahri and the Kaisa even further away.
Scary thought here, but right now we are seeing that Clove can do some work. Granted, though, it feels like it's my back is sore. Even if the bot lane is able to match up somehow on the side of Northeastern, it just feels like this is a game for Luminary to come out on top. Now, granted, I still want to see that gold kind of spread out. 4 kills currently to my back of sword means a lot of priorities on them. And if you still let Slamurai kind of get chunked out there on the top side, it's not great. I mean, the Nocturne is not exactly all powerful in that side. And you can see here a little bit of a punches. That's going to be a call down from the Dragon plus a TP. This is what you want. A huge re-engagement coming out from Luminary Gaming. That's an appeal on 2, though. Into the back line, plus the move fall behind. Great ult, though, by Libra Lady to try and get them all out to safety, and they do. Of course, my back of sword is going to go down and pay that price, but a final, and Kathy Rain brings damage as Mpex is able to rip one back. It's a 2-for-1 overall. Luminary Gaming come out on top, make that almost a third, as Clove gets a double kill pin against the wall, and Eunuch, though, saying, I got nothing. Triple kill to Mpex as Kleptic runs for their life.
A great play right there from the side of Luminary Gaming. Sure, the Nocturne does go down, and it's a massive shutdown for the side of Northeastern University, but you got your Kaisa back in the game with that triple kill. 4-1 now, and we've seen the things that we were talking about happening in that team fight. The tools were there for the side of Northeastern. They tried to force a play with the Darius. Unfortunately for them, though, without the connection of the Apprehend, they don't actually get in range. They allow enough time for Mabaka Sword to go for the Paranoia, and then they've run them down. They've spaced them really well. Something that we were talking about. You know, you got a very good front line, you got a really good engage, but if your engage is staggered on the side of Northeastern, that is exactly what is going to happen. The Enchanter Emilio and the shields coming in from also the Ahri, and how tanky somebody like Samurai Jack is, and the Killer Instinct as well. So all of those are great tools, and we can see now that reflecting in terms of the gold, where Mpex was in the middle of the pack a little while ago. Now Mpex is the richest person in the game. 7,500 gold, 150 CS, but they might lose first tower, so they will definitely need to hold on for the other ends of the map.
And right now, it is going to bring 2 feats over to the side of Luminary Gaming, even though they did lose out on that tower. But the main call is this dragon. Once again, even though we saw a little bit of a fight, yeah, this tower being granted over Luminary, this is huge. Honestly, I give a huge amount of credit over to them, as they've done a lot of work there. First tower plus, I believe it was the kill count. So they get the aggregated boots plus a soul point, and now they look a lot better. Things are just looking up and up, and I give credit. Mpex, I was really worried about this Kaisa, and so far it's found the right opportunities to punish out against the likes of Northeastern.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really good to see the Kaisa having the freedom, but it definitely did come from my Aegis being that far ahead. They need to focus a lot more of the resources on the Nocturne, on the Ari, on the Renekton, which is allowing Mpex the space to play for this game. Now that Mpex is a person with the bounty on their head, they need to be careful. They need to play a little bit more reserved. Everything is available for the side of Northeastern. No objectives for the time being, though. You know, we're gonna get like 2-3 minutes of peace, and eventually then we're starting to have more action later down the line. So this is the timing where you would hope to complete your Muramana if you're the Varus, and Sad hopefully will also complete their second item, and then you might have enough burst damage between the Varus and the Diana to find burst damage and kills on the backline of the side of Luminary.
We'll see if they can continue to do so. Right now, we're getting a little bit of a touch and go here in the mid lane. Unux trying to get some damage down on this tower, but the damage is actually onto Mpex, who... Was that a flash, really? Libra saying we need some help, but now you don't have the flash to help out with this Nocturne. As Nocturne is following into the backside. My back is sore, looking for that big damage source, and Mpex going ahead with the killer instinct. My back is sore, though, still can't get the kill on Cloak, who gets all the help, but guess what? Really Bad Zed is here to help out. Rockin' Nuss, though, saying rock this house, swinging the hammer, and then another pinch along the side, and finally, we see the collapse in by Northeastern as their comp comes alive.
Calm comes alive. The Engage didn't have all the members from Luminary. Meanwhile, numbers were definitely on the side of Northeastern, and they've made that work. They tried to go on Clove. They got the Varus down, but at what cost is the real question, because they've expanded everything just to reach to that Varus, and even their flank angle, which should have been their biggest strength by the Ari, was just given away to see then another player coming in from the river, and that was sad. And now they're trying to make a move out of it. This will be the Otacon, and I believe that this is Ruinous, if I'm not mistaken, which actually
voracious. Yeah, there wasn't enough kills, and it's weird because it's about the kills and the damage source, so it's not just kills. But it's still voracious. You get a little bit of a GA proc, and now we are going to see Northeastern look to kind of storm the front. This is what I was mentioning before, right? This composition that Northeastern has built, once you enable yourselves in the mid game, I just don't see it falling that easily. You saw how hard of a time my back is sore had trying to reach that back line. I mean, if Mpex gets chunked out at all, things go south. So I am, even though we saw, I will say, a very powerful early game from Luminary Gaming, I am getting a little bit worried about this mid game.
I mean, the worries for the mid game are definitely justified, as we've said. You know, the Kaisa isn't in that position where she can melt people instantly. Sure, 2 items are great. You're trying to go in for the third one. Paranoia is being used towards the bot side, and that should be a free kill after the hourglass.
Yep, I mean, there is almost no way out of this one. Granted, it is just that that pseudo GA proc. It is a free GA, and it will be taken down. So only 200 gold granted over. But Unux saying, yo, let's bring that damage into the top side. Slamurai having to flash away, but still getting tethered down. But of course, that's not the main objective. You want to get these towers. You want to break open the base. But it's matched over there in the mid lane. Very nicely done by Luminary Gaming to not only get 1, but 2 after kill on the bot side. So huge swing in gold. Back to push the likes of Luminary Gaming into a 1k lead.
Yeah, 1k lead. He got one of the False lives out of the hands of Northeastern as well. So Luminary are definitely handling the game pretty well on gold. But I just want to see how much time is left in the False life, because from what I can see, it's like 3/4 of the way through. They need to go for something crazy because I don't think it's actually going to last all the way until they go to the dragon. So my hope is they get to the dragon first, they set up vision control, and then they go for a big flashy play, and there they go. They were planning to go for something here. Luckily enough, Libra Lady is able to push Unic out, but I'm not sure about that positioning from Sor though.
Yeah, Sor is just looking for a space, and that leaves the rest of your team available for the picking. Rough time, as that is the first death by Libra. Libra has done so well, 0-1 in 8 now, but has been doing so well and keeping themselves alive and trying to help out. But there is a point where you get caught, and now it is the turn for the side of Northeastern as they claim their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, Force life wears off, but they deny their soul for now. A soul that is also important for the side of Luminary Gaming. Mounting that shield, it does wonders against poke damage. And guess what they have on the side of Northeastern? A poke theirs, so that is of course something that you must not let Luminary get to. And Luminary are even in gold despite all of that. And luckily enough for the side of Northeastern University Red, there's still a lot of standing gold in the side lanes. Both of the tier 2s for the top and the bot side are still up for both teams, and even the mid tier 2 is still up for the side of Luminary. So there is much gold to be granted if they are able to play their team comp well, but you don't want to side lane that much because of the presence of the Nocturne. And now with the full scythe wearing off, I don't think that we're going to see much more of those very aggressive plays. It's going to be much more reserved. Let the Varus farm, let the Varus scales, getting into that third item, and the Skarner and Darius are already much of a threat as there is. With both of them hitting their 2 items, second that hard kill is the Skarner. They're going to make things easy, but it might have been a little bit difficult for Rock if they committed to that engagement. But I guess without information on that 3-man cluster that we've just seen on the screen, they don't want to commit to anything just yet.
I think that's the right call. You play it a little bit safe. You don't get over aggressive in any stance, and you're like, okay, we'll do some work here. But granted, this is, I think, Northeastern starting to say, okay, we don't have to get over aggressive as long as we fight for the dragons. We can do anything else that we want. You look at where they're moving and what they're wanting to do. It's like, I mean, what do they have to really worry about? This top side, though, is the one that they do want to worry about. As again, instead of a team fight, we're looking at that pick stance. As Rockinus is going to get stunned underneath the tower, but you can see with that ghost in flash, you actually hold a lot of safety. But now you step right back out, and Mpex might be looking for a dive, but it is a 3v1 on the top side, and Rockinus is calling up support here. You can see Sad joining in on this top side. It's a heavy push, but it's not going to lead too much. Great spell shield to make sure Sor doesn't get caught by that apprehend.
Yeah, there's still a Sundered Sky, so Rock definitely trusted in the healing that he has between that and the Q. So luckily enough, they didn't pull the trigger from the other side, but this does give the turn over towards the side of Northeastern University, where they are trying to make something happen in the top side. Meanwhile, in the bottom, Really Bad Zed has had a very big push. TP is available as well, so they can definitely go for a play if they want to, but they're still keeping the pace down. You got 2.5 minutes until the Mountain Dragon, and the Baron, while it is up, I don't think anybody's actually going to start that one yet.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and see that movement out as well, as we get a little bit of a touch and go, as teams are just kind of waiting around, it feels like, for their next major objective. I mean, all the teams are just, both teams are saying, okay, we don't have to fight too hard. We can play a little bit smart and be okay. But, you know, it's still about that. It's still about the, how weird is this gonna get? I feel like we're still waiting for that major break point, I think.
Yeah, I mean, where do you even think that major point is gonna come? Because I feel like it should definitely be the Soul. I think starting the Baron is too risky for the side of Luminary. Dragon is just much easier. It does less damage, and it does threaten you a fairly bit less. But in the same time, that time of stagnation is allowing itemization to be complete on the other end. So when I'm looking at it in that way, I'm starting to worry a little bit, because that Nocturne is going to fall off. Sure, you know, you feel really good with both the... It's not Gourd Drinker, it's Stride Breaker, yeah, between the Stride Breaker and the Hextech Plate. But with that case, you know, Nocturne is gonna fall off, Renekton is gonna fall off. Ari eventually is still going to be threatening just on the basis of the charm. But then you look at the other side, I know this Garner can have infinite HP. This Darius is still going to be as scary, if not even more scary, than he was in the early to mid game. And the Poke Varus is the only person that I feel like is gonna stagger off a little bit. So scaling might not be on their favor, so they really need to get that dragon, otherwise it's not gonna go well for them.
Yeah, this is it's a time crunch. This is the moment where we got to see, I think, Luminary kind of end the game in the next 5 minutes. If they don't, I don't think they have a lot of good avenues to win. I just, the more I see this, and again, I allude back to my draft talk, it's just, I don't like where they're currently standing. If that makes sense. I really don't like their comp for the late game unless we get to see these consistent picks come out here. And it is going to rely, I think, a little bit on Mpex. Mpex is the one where I'm sitting there going, hey, you know, you are 4-2-2. You're 3 items deep. You have the DPS to at least take someone out. You need to be making plays alongside the Ari and the Nocturne at this point. It's no longer a battery of just my back is sore and really bad Zed. It's a three-point strike with Mpex following up behind the Ari and Nocturne. So when this dragon comes up here in about 35 seconds, I'll be very curious to see who is there first and who gets it.
Well, and that's the thing about the Kai'Sa though, is that usually you want the Ari to side lane because you want the really bad Zed to have flank opportunities. But what I've seen, especially in NACL and in the ERLs where I'm from, is that the really good Kai'Sas are the one that play the champion much like an assassin, regardless of the build, because you can get a lot of control playing that way. You have the killer instinct that can allow you to go to the side lanes. You pressure the side lanes themselves, but you don't have those winning side lanes to play off of that. You have a Darius on the other side and a Diana that will win both the 1v1s, whether you're talking top or mid. And while Northeast University does have the lead here, that charm can lead to a big problem, but there comes the engage.
Yes, they go ahead and touch on in, but of course that's just the ascendance here, and Slimmer Jack is just waiting. You go ahead and bait this out. Now there's going to be another touch. Are they going to find it in? Yes, they do, and they find a charm onto the Darius as well. But into the backline you go with the Moonfall. Is it going to be enough? Absolutely not, but that's the impale of 2, and it looks like the damage has been traded out, but it's 2 for 1 so far. My back is sore, trying to dive in, but not finding that damage, and instead it's another execution. Bacchus is still alive, and it ends up at a 3-4-2. Really bad Zed trying to dive back in with that Spirit Rush, but again, the stalwartness with Kleptic on the shield keeps them alive, and Eunuch turns on the dragon.
Yeah, they got the turn, but they need to be careful. Really bad Zed is absolutely hurting them on that side, and Emilio with the passive is gonna give him even more damage. Good dots from Kleptic, still gets the tank from the Q. They're still pushing really bad Zed away, and they are going to deny the soul once more for a little bit longer, keep their lives, and maybe even go for a little bit more. Libra Lady could have been in harm's way if that Ishtal impact connected. Luckily enough for Emilio, no connection has been found. The Spirit Rush is on. It does a lot of damage, but nobody's gonna go down. Charmed lands. Still got 2 more rushes. Eunuch has to be very careful. Goes for the impact. Does a fairly significant damage to really bad Zed. Enough to force them away with that teleport, and Clove is going to lodge that Q. They gotta be careful of this stackage flight because Samurai Jack has also used their TP, looking for a flank angle, and now with them finding the recalls, Luminary are in an excellent position to play the Baron dance from here.
And we got to see in real time where all that gold kind of went. You can now see the ADCs are kind of matched up. Same with the mids, only 800 gold difference there. But the main one is in the jungle. Granted, Eunuch is on that tank build, so that 1k difference at 1.5 isn't really that big a deal. But in the top side, we're seeing that shake up here as this Darius is going to try and hang on to that 2k lead, and that's a chase and a half. In comes that Paranoia though, and honestly, that might be a bait as my back is sore. It's like, crap, I can't stay here, and that's the Paranoia down again. Meaning Eunuch can dive on in. You have the impale. 1 and 2 impale into the redemption. It's damage all around as Kleptic brings the pain, and it's a quick deletion of 2, and that means you lose your smite.
They needed to end the game. They needed to get the soul. They staggered through 2 dragons, and then they got desperate Luminara, and that's why we're seeing them falling behind here. Dragon is down. Baron is also gonna go down towards the side of Northeastern University Red, and their one saving grace is going to be that extra 700 gold off the tier 2 turret. That's even if they get it, because I'm pretty sure the recalls are fast enough. They don't get even that, and now the gold swing is gonna go over towards the blue side, and Northeastern University, they are in a position with that Baron buff to hopefully get the remainder of that standing gold. They still got the top tier 2, the bot tier 2, the mid tier 2, and then you can start playing for the next mountain. That should be in 2.5 minutes. You give yourself ample time and space, but somehow, you know, we're speaking of the team with the Baron buff. The team with the Baron buff is the one that's grouping all the mid, and they're allowing Luminary to actually play towards the fight lane.
We'll have to see if this continues onwards. As you can see the punch, Northeastern, they have scaled into the late game, and I think this is going to continue. I'm very, very curious. I'm wondering how these teams has sat at the bottom of the standing so long, and I'm starting to see why. I mean, the compositions and the ideas are there on both ends, but I wonder if the closing out is actually going to be the big issue here. So as we reach into the 34-minute mark, I want to watch and see. We're going to have another couple of minutes here as the towers are going to fall. This is going to be that test of closing out the game. And there it is again. Again, Rockinus on the spot side is now going to be pinched. But of course, this time you're holding on just a little bit. You don't get the Q off, but it does lead to a mid lane tower falling. So Rockinus is saying, cool, that is fairly worth for me.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if that's worth. Because on one hand, yes, there's definitely enough time until the mountain dragon comes down that this isn't really a problem for the mountain itself, but the paranoia is going to come back as well, and you've given over your control. I feel like when you're playing situations like these, I would have loved to see them fix the top lane wave first before they actually go for the split push with the 4-1. Because if they fix the top wave, then they got an avenue to play for. They can just still rock. Hey, you don't need to over-aggress. You don't need to die or lose your life. Just let us play the mid tower. If they don't let us play mid, we'll go top, take the easier tower, and they can't spread themselves that thin for the side of Luminary. And that's not what happened. They tried to play just for 2 lanes instead of 3, and that came back to bite them. That's another kill that might be a little bit problematic as we go into the final fight, or what should be the final fight of the game. 35 minutes, very long respawn times, and we got everybody on 3 items, at least for all of the main carries.
At this point, we're probably going to reach 4. At this point, we might reach 4. There we go. We see the items up. Yeah. We have reached 4. Let's go. Not only that, we've also reached the point where the boots are being bought up as well. We're seeing some of those upgrades come through, but this is going to be that pinch. Eunuch chasing in, has a chance to grab 3, but a flash out by Libra just to ensure that you stay safe. I think that was very, very necessary. Good catch on the backside, as that's going to be a prey seeker fighting Kleptic's body, and I don't know if this is really going to be enjoyable for the rest of the team, but that is going to be another chase in the back line. Kleptic trying to stay alive inside the redemption, staying alive just as well, but the body blocking is going to be big, but in goes Mpex to get 1. How much more damage can come through, though, as the damage is still alive? Yet again, though, Charms on the side is really bad. Zed is able to pick apart the rest of the team. Another fear comes out as my back is sore. He's going to stay alive, but Rockinus is feared out of the fight, meaning the entirety of this Luminary Gaming is able to annihilate 4, and they will be rewarded with gold plus a soul.
Gold, a soul, and Mpex again. Able to find a big lead in that team fight. My back is sore. Absolutely slaying down Clove there on that angle. The paranoia came in clutch, and that was big time for them because they almost lost that fight in terms of positioning. They lost the flash early on, but they were able to make work on the chunk they got onto Kleptic. And for the side of Northeastern University Red, luckily enough for them, with the waves not being in the best position for Luminary, they don't get any inhibitors, they don't get much of it, but they do get that soul, and with it, I don't know if Clove is even gonna be impactful anymore in this game.
I'm terrified. This game is starting to turn into a who is going to mess up more, and who is going to have a worse execution or anything like that. This is going off on the side, and I am wondering exactly how it's still going to play out. I mean, both teams have had good execution and some mistakes in there, but the soul might be the swinging point. So I'm watching Rockinus Rockiness has been the main point of these games multiple times, and I'm curious if they're going to try it again, just to take him out of the equation for Luminary Gaming.
I mean, I just want to see one thing, because I feel like the differentiating part in that team fight was the Noxia and Guillotine not killing Impacts. If they get that reset, the game is infinitely easier for them. Speaking of people making the game easy here, if Eunuch is able to take down that Renekton, that will be a much easier game. The slow from the Shattered Earth, another upheaval, not connecting, but they go for the movement speed. They want to get that kill. Luckily enough for Samurai Jack, we're at the point in the game where you got enough ability haste to walk away safely. No summoner is expended, but this could have been very risky.
Well, right now, Baron is up in just about 10 seconds. This is a dance. As you can see, Baron is up, wards are down, and it's 2 ward piece as Mpex is going to try and clear out that pink ward there, so that is going to be nice. My back is sore though, sitting there with their 4th item just about to be completed. We're reaching those breakpoints where I am going to be watching very heavily these team fights. How is it going to play out once again? But I am kind of sad that we're not seeing any sort of wave management really be established on either end. I feel like the waves have just kind of been bouncing back and forth, right? And there hasn't been any attempt to use that as a macro shift into a more advantageous team fight or the like.
I mean, you say that, but then you look at the boss side. That's actually
true.
So what else do you want to do? You said it. I feel like, sure, I would say it's actually a little bit more problematic from the side of Northeastern University Red, because they're the one for me that we're actually not fixing their waves whatsoever. We've seen that, especially for me, when they got the Baron buff. They really should have fixed their top wave. It's another case of them pushing top, but with the bot wave being reset, if they don't get that kill onto Samurai Jack, that'll be problematic. But it seems like it's going to be a very easy one here, as the Guillotine should find the spoil, but luckily enough for Samurai, that is a flash well expended.
This is a test. I hate this so much. I hate this so much that we're seeing like picks left and right, and yet nothing really coming of it. As we're now seeing the bottleneck. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Baron will be your making or your doom. As Luminary Jack is looking, doesn't have that ascendance, doesn't have that big important ult to get all the HP, but you are going to have to dive in. Baron is going to be taken away by the side of Northeastern, and they get one immediately, but down goes the support, but it's still the executions, the guillotine, the noxious pain is here. Noxian pride is alive, as Really Bad said has to run away. Rockin' Us is here to close out Mpex and Lil Libra. Lil Libra flashes away. Rockin' Us though gets the drawback in the apprehend. The jail time is alive. 3 dead on the side of Luminary, as the 4th is about to occur. Mpex though doing some work onto the HP bar. Eunuch is now down, and Mpex is going to try and chase away. Meanwhile, on the top side, the towers are still falling. Huge win to the side of Northeastern.
Well, they started in hate in a moment though. We got 20 seconds left on both Samurai and my back is sore. You're trying to get the inhibitor in any way, shape, or form. A big shutdown from Sad, as now you've staggered another one of those recalls. If you're able to get that one, the apprehend can do all the work. Rock got another guillotine, and Rock is going to find another kill. That is an ace with 2 members coming to life, with both of them having a soul, so they will have to fall back, but Rock is still playing that one to perfection.
Oh, it doesn't matter, as that's damaged. My back is sore, trying to bait out, and honestly, the towers are just falling left and right. And you're gonna try. Rockin' Us is like, yo, we can do this, but that's a flash in, trying to catch Sad, but it looks like it might not worry. However, you're out of mana. 1 more outside can do it. And are you gonna get it? You do. Rockin' Us able to finish off this game number 1 in a nail biter and a half.
Well, that is as close as it can be. 42 minutes. That took quite a hot minute. But you know what? It had everything that you'd actually ever ask for. Good gameplay, messy gameplay, but actually entertaining in its own right. And I always love that about these comps that rely on melee carries like the Darius, like the Diana. They're very entertaining to watch when they get going. But the ball was truly a Luminary's court. They could have closed the game there, but that didn't happen. And as we can tell, Rock definitely has been a hero, and Mpex, other than us speaking about him, maybe stepping up a little bit in the mid game, hasn't really showed up that much in the late game.
I think it goes back to the composition again. I don't lean too much into the players. I think the players actually did very well for what their comp wanted to do on the side of this Luminary Gaming squad. We mentioned that the composition fielded a little bit more into the early game, and that's what they did. They did index fairly heavily, and if we could see the gold chart as well, this would really give us a huge indication, but of course, we'll worry about that later. But I could see that swing very heavily on the other side. I mean, we saw the lead that Soar had in some of the early stages. We saw some of those advantages, and it just wasn't it wasn't that great, right? So it was great, but it ended up being kind of the downfall. Soar wasn't able to advance that gold any further into other directions. So I sit there and say, hey, it was a great game overall, and I think just composition wise, Luminary Gaming was a little bit on the weaker side. If we're looking at the game 2, where do we want to see that change come through? Where do we want to see those differences be brought up, in your opinion, Volt?
Well, for me, I feel like the one primary thing that I want to see is an AD carry that is actually allowed some agency in the game. The Kai'Sa is great for what it is, as you've said, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Kai'Sa against Darius, Karn, or Diana. Like, that's the real thing. You know, like, you can play other things in that situation. I'm not dissing the Kai'Sa at all. I think the Kai'Sa is an excellent pick when it comes to that. But well, from what we have seen, I feel like that wasn't really the best of things. Well, I mean, my camera is frozen, so with that, guys, how about I actually freeze up as well and not talk, as me and Orbital are going to go to a brief recess, and then we're going to go to map 2, so don't go anywhere.
日本限定あ全マーケット伝わった
今日は老舗をしっかり見て回らなくちゃね。
いやいや、ここはジャンル順でしょ。
名前順の方がいいんだよ。
現代か洋代の名前順？
あ？
ローマ字それともひらがな？僕は色で並べるのが好きなんだけどね。
え？
全部に対応させよっか。
おお。
80年代のホラーゲーをください。これでみんな幸せ。
ありがとう全マーケット
Welcome back here to game number 2. We have refreshed the camera, we refreshed the spirits, and hopefully we have refreshed this identity for Luminary Gaming as they went for the early game matchup. It worked out to an extent, and then it went sideways. Things got a little bit out of control, and now they need to kind of reel it in. They need to find more mid to late game action. Granted, you look on the other side, and there was some stuff for Northeastern that also didn't sit well. If you're talking about the early game, you know, they didn't really have as much oomph as we probably would have liked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now there's upside. They go over to blue, so hopefully Luminary are going to be able to get more of those power picks early on that we were talking about, you know. With the first phase of the bans, things are going to be a little bit easier for them. We're still waiting for them to basically start the draft. And, well, with that, you know, we talked about the guys a little bit, but we talked about the Darius a fair bit. How do you feel Northeastern University should actually play this one orbital? Do you like the melee intensive comp with the poke AD carry, or would you feel like them playing the standard front to back would actually be better for them?
I will always prefer standard over anything else. I'm a very big zone mage player in the mid lane.
Boy.
And yeah, I know it's very boring, but I do also feel like that was something that was an issue as well. You take a look at how Luminary Gaming played before. We mentioned the ADC factor. I mean, Mpex took advantage where Mpex could with the Kaisa, but you need a little bit more front to back if you're going to draft something like the Milio, like this kind of testament there. Granted, again, if you're going to go pick heavy, don't go the Milio. Go something like a Nautilus. Go something with a little bit more punch to it, and that will bring out a little bit more value in there. But as we dive in, we are going to see the same bands coming out here. Luminary Gaming still on that Yone, and Northeastern still on that Janna ban.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like if you want to play that same kind of very aggressive jungler style, the one thing that would make the most sense for me definitely has to be the Xin Zhao. You know, he works really well with enchanters. He still got the early aggression and a big ultimate to separate him from the likes of the Jinx. That is the first ban here for the side of Luminary. Of course, they are benefiting from being on the blue side with that pick, but on the other side, they banned the Darius of Rock. And, well, the great thing about top lane bruisers is there's plenty of them. AD, AP, you could even like be a Degen and play a range top if you want to. I'm not a big fan of that myself, but we'll just have to wait and see how things go, because the Jinx is a very big indicator of that team comp. It's a team comp that want to play around resets, that want to play around stability that we talked about for Luminary in game 1, and the Jinx definitely has a lot more agency even against the exact same bot lane in comparison to the Kaisa.
Yeah, this makes a little bit more sense to me, especially if you are going to run that Milio. And considering Northeastern didn't ban the Jinx, it does surprise me a little bit. Actually, I think it was Luminary that banned it out on red side before, and they opted to ban the Darius. So this is Northeastern saying, okay, we'll give you what you want. We'll go a little bit more pick. And they lock in the Vi, which still gives me a lot of hope, mostly because this is a little bit more direct into that Varus. Again, we talked about the fact that Luminary had a lot of trouble reaching that Varus last time. You weren't able to kind of dog pile as easily. Well, this is going to be the dog pile, but this is still 3 out of the 5 that Northeastern ran in game 1, which gave me a lot of hope. We need to see something following up with the Vi if we want to see Luminary Gaming have a much better chance at finding that Varus.
I wouldn't even mind the arcane comp here anymore. Like, you got the Vi, you got the Jinx, you can easily give me Jace Victor, and I am very content with that team comp. Sure, not a lot of engage following up on the Vi, but you get a ton of range against this corner. You can easily melt that one down, and then you can make things easy for the Vi, because the Vi doesn't need to 100 to 0 someone, you only need to 50 to 0 someone. And in the early game, it's fine if you engage early, but later down the line, you will need a primary tank actually, as the Vi falls off from being the unkillable tank during that mid game. And that's something that they can play on. That's why we're seeing the Mundo ban and the Renekton ban especially. These are 2 front meat shields that will do damage, that will do enough damage that with the Vi, with the Jinx, will give you those resets. Unfortunately for my dreams and fantasies, Victor is actually banned away by Luminary, but it makes a lot of sense in the draft because you don't want anybody outranging that Jinx.
You really don't, but now you bring about an even worse pain. Honestly, you sit there and say Arcane Season 3 or whatever you want to call it, because Swain's on the board now, and this one is another great deterrent, I think. One of the things that we talked about Northeastern that they struggled with is Diana in the mid lane. It didn't look great. It had the right opportunities, but it didn't have as much as a great impact because of the fact that you're getting dove on, you're constantly getting shoved in, and the moonfalls weren't really impactful. Now you have the Ascendance, you have that demonic ascension, and it's going to be painful. It is going to be difficult for anything like Luminary to actually dive in, which is why they drafted this Mordekaiser now. Mordekaiser going to try and take that Swain away, try and deny that factor, or maybe even find the Varus and say, okay, I'll 1v1 you as best I can. But it does feel kind of reactionary because, again, we're still waiting for the Vi follow-up, and at this point, you either need a mid or top that's going to be able to trace how far the Vi is going to go, and there's a limited number of options there. Luminary Gaming, you go for the Azir. I'm not thrilled about this, but I can get behind it.
I can see where it would work though. It's good in the lane against the Swain. It's a very big team fight ultimate that can eventually allow the Jinx to get the reset. But again, like, it doesn't lend itself to the standard front to back. You got a lot of damage on the front side, especially with the Mordekaiser, but the Ergot is actually one of the traditional great matchups against that Mordekaiser. So Rock should be in a pretty good position as far as that one is concerned. And now looking at the entire draft, things are actually not looking the best for Luminary. Nevermove is going to be able to catch the Jinx whenever the Jinx is playing. You still got the Varus that is still the same kind of concern with the Chain of Corruption. And you still got the great laning phase with the Varus Karma. So the one thing that has changed is that, well, you are playing now the Vi on the side of Luminary, hoping to get more lockdown. And maybe that would be enough, but I don't feel like that was a problem. I feel like Nocturne was the lockdown. It was just the follow-up towards it. And now while Jinx got some extra range, I feel like Empik still doesn't have an AC game whatsoever.
I would agree with that, but it gives me a lot more hope this time around. You have a little bit more frontline, you're not going to be diving in as far, and you have a little bit more range behind it. It's still going to be a problem though, because I think my Bacchosaurus is still going to be like, hey, I'm going to dive in, no one's going to follow unless really bad said wants to make that run. But at the current moment, we are going to be watching for how this plays out, and I got to ask you, Volts, are we going to see Luminary come out with a victory here, or do you think Northeastern, with their composition, is going to come away with this win and close it out 2-0?
Well, as much as I would love to say that San Ozal will take over the usurpers like Swain, like all those people that claim that they are the new Noxian Kings, unfortunately for Luminary, and unfortunately for all the lovers of everything metal, I don't know if that's going to be the case here, because when I think about those comps, again, it comes down to the same kind of problems that we've seen Luminary have in game one. Not enough focus, and while now Slamurai is playing that frontline bruiser, there's no way for Mordekaiser to actually reach other than the Shuriman Shuffle. So Mordekaiser doesn't feel like he's going to be playing in a good game, and he's going to be behind to start with. So I feel like these are all problems that they will have to skill check Northeastern University right in. And while it worked to an extent in game one, they weren't able to close it, and I don't see as an easy way to close the game here either.
I can agree with that one. So we'll go ahead and hold off here, and we will see what the teams say. Now, once again, we want to give a big shout out over to Zen Market for being so awesome and being this amazing sponsor here today for us. If you saw the ad a little bit earlier, well, to dive a little bit more into it, it can be difficult. This is where Zen Market comes in to shop over for special Japanese items that might not be able to be found locally where you live, and that's where Zen Market kind of comes in. As you saw before, they have some great options in being able to help you buy those Japanese products, in a one-stop solution manner. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in the Japan region, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items into one box to go ahead and make sure to get to you safely internationally, which is very, very helpful, especially if you're buying from multiple different shops, which is awesome to say. They even provide excellent customer service within 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide currently. Of course, you could add to that, and if you wish to hop on in and go ahead and get 1,000 yen off your first purchase, please go ahead and use the code Aegis, AEGIS, to learn a little bit more and to use that to go ahead and get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Once again, that is AEGIS. as that code. We will go to a short break, get ready for the game, and make sure to see if Northeastern are able to close out the series 2-0 or if Luminary Gaming are going to force us to a game 3. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, as we are here and ready to roll for game number 2. Northeastern on that red side, hoping to put the final seal here and get their first series victory. Granted, we're looking at Luminary Gaming on the blue side and saying, hey, maybe they got something else in their back pocket. But we have a brand new face to the desk, one that has been running the show, but now gets a little on-screen time. It is going to be Ice Fire Ride, and they're going to be joining us here on the desk as we figure out if Volt has left the building and unfortunately reconnect that wire, so to speak. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and take a look at this as Sad has one of the larger shifts here in terms of that moment, but Sad just walks right in, throws out no abilities, and now might get punished for it. I'm not sure I really like this, as now you're kind of running away. I don't think any flashes are really going to be expended, so the fact that Sad got away with only losing HP, wild stuff to me. That is insane. So right now my back trying to go ahead and run interference, which they will, but they did get the ward down, so Luminary is going to be pretty comfortable in that factor. But Sad having to burn that TP early, granted it'll be up by about 6.5 minutes when you're already hitting that first back timer, or a little bit late first back timer, I should say. So you know, take that for what you will. So we'll see how this plays out. Right now, everyone going to the proper lane allocation, but MPEX understanding that some silliness could go down.
Yeah, MPEX is sitting back waiting, knowing that they should be sitting there, and there's the E-start from Varus to get a decent chunk onto the Jinx. I mean, this lane is all about pressure and making sure that you can start affecting those health bars as early on as possible, getting that wave management started early so you can, you know, stack the first 2 waves, crash that third, get some wards down, protect yourself before going forward and hitting that tower.
We can go ahead and take a look at how much further this is going to play, as again, the early damage isn't that great considering both are very utility heavy supports. These are squishies, but they heal up fairly well and they get some extra help in that way. So, you know, Clove and Kleptic, they might have started off with a little bit of a punch, but nothing else really in there. So we go ahead and say hello back to Volt, as it looks like they're able to reset everything. They're able to reconnect the wire, flip the switch, and I believe they're back with us. Volt, are you with us?
Well, I hope I am. I hope you guys can hear me, because I don't know what the hell happened there. I had to turn on the VPN for Discord to work. So technical issues, I guess. But hey, it's all fun and good because we are back in the game. In this game, of course, as you've said, Orbital, and I'm pretty sure as Ice has said in the intermission, well, it has a lot riding on it. Whether it be a 2-0 for the side of Northeastern University, that will be excellent for them, because that means that they will pick up their first win of the season. For the side of Luminary Gaming, they just want to pick up a win, man, because of course, as you know, there is a bye week because it's a 5-team 5-week group, and I know that Northeastern has gotten their bye, so they're 0-2 and Luminary is 0-3, so it's a lot more difficult. And Luminary, well, speaking of difficulty, this is a 3-on-3.
Yeah, but Clove said hello. I don't even have to burn anything. I burned the barrier. That's about it. My back is sore, realizing they're in a really rough spot. Flash forward, last auto takes it, and Kleptic is able to steal away that first kill. Doesn't get the ensuing Q afterwards, but is able to bring some damage down, and that is first blood already. Seeing that matching pace, which is something that Unuk last time in game 1 wasn't able to have a great hand on.
Yeah, and agency for the bot lane. Of course, the Varus was one of the better pieces. If you're talking on the side of Northeastern University, that was one of the problems really that the Luminary were facing. The Varus just was too much of a problem for them, that they needed to expend a lot of resources just getting the Varus out of commission, which did allow Rock on the Darius to play that lane well. Well, it's a different story. Rock now is on the Urgot champion that is a lot more susceptible, and nevermore that will force the Emperor to go for a tactical retreat. As well, it seems like the Twilight of Shurima is upon us, because for the second time, Sad is doing really well in lane.
You're able to hang on fairly well, and for Sad on this, again, you're not looking to win. This is something that we mentioned before. With Sad, you're more at that mid-game buffer. It is used as that denial tool, so I'm not exactly looking at Sad as that big overall damage carry. If you get the kills, that's great. But I'm just sitting here going, man, I'm very curious if we are going to see the likes of kind of chaos unfold here. So right now, really bad Zed in their own though, still losing out, is going for that on-hit build. You can go ahead and take a look at the recurve bow in there. Went for a lot of the sustain as well, kind of folding into that refillables plus the pink wards. So this is going to be a lot handed out, I feel like, in terms of I need to scale, I need to stay alive in lane for this Azir.
I mean, wouldn't it be better than if that's the case just to go for the grass build? Because I feel like that would have just worked out better for that objective.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the exact tune of that, so I'm not the right call for that. However, on the bot side, we're seeing this continued aggression and continued damage, as that is yet again Mpex getting caught out here. It looks like that was a tether to kill because the flash is down even for Mpex.
Yeah, flash is down, and well, that's a big problem. Because now they're starting to lead with that bot lane. No flash expended for Sad, only having to use the demonic ascension to staying alive in that play in the mid lane that was happening in the meanwhile. Really bad Zed. Did not force the summoners, but the Swain has to be very careful. Luckily enough, for the side of Northeastern University, no problems for the bot side, and that means another dragon going through. That was their game-winning plan in game 1, and it seems that we are getting some deja vu in game 2.
Yeah, well, remember last time it was actually Luminary Gaming that was on the dragon for 3 straight, and then they got sold at the very end. This time around, it's the opposite trade because my back sword lost control of this bot lane. So well, I wouldn't say sword lost it. It's Mpex and Lil Libra that just kind of fell behind that curve. So you can't play towards that dragon. That's why Eunuch and the rest of Clove and Kleptic were able to kind of rotate down there and grab it. It is traded out though. 3 grabs handed over, and I don't think that's the worst position to be in. But for Sad, who is in this mid lane kind of soaking up that aggression from Sword, doing very well for themselves, has 66 CS versus really bad Zed, who is sitting on most likely about a 10 CS deficit.
Yeah, the CS deficit that isn't the worst in the world, but things might start to scale a little bit more. Luckily enough for Rock though, despite Rock being partly behind in CS, does have the coal. I think it's gonna catch up with the wave underneath the tower, so actually Rock is pretty much even. So the only real lead in CS is between Sad and really bad Zed. And you don't mind it as much if you're playing the Azir here. As you said, you're playing to survive, you don't want any major mishaps, and eventually you're going to outscale that flame. But until then, the grass, the Nevermore, the Demon Flare, all of these are going to be very problematic tools that will keep getting you out of the lane. That was too close to comfort.
Yeah, this is actually looking to be really, really painful for Lil Libra. Lil Libra, back in game 1, I gave a lot of credit to. They were able to stay alive for a majority share of the game, really keeping themselves safe in a lot of these points. But now, because that Jinx is playing so far back, and it's not very aggressive, you're getting free poked out. Kleptic and Clove are like, thanks for the freebie. Now Sad in this mid lane is gonna open up with the demonic ascension. You go ahead and do that damage, and Eunuch might be here to play as well. And honestly, Sad is staying alive for so long. Guess what? Really bad Zed running straight into the hands of some nasty, nasty members. And that is my back is sore, losing out yet another gank, this time in the mid lane.
Well, Sad again, being able to play the alt trade really well. Another Nevermore, and here comes the Soul Flare, and Soar might actually stay alive. Remember, there is the Winions, and Sad is going to collect another kill, another soul to go for the Demon, and Jericho Swain find himself at the beginning of a new era.
Last minion. Caster minions for the win, baby. That was a chance. Now Lil Libra running away and realizing that things are not going their way. Again, this is 4 kills straight and a very diverse spread. I want to talk about this again because last time in game number 1, we saw my back of Sora on the Nocturne have 4 kills, but I want to talk about the spread availability. Kleptic now with 2 in hand. Same with Sad. These kills are not the same as we saw in game number 1. These kills being spread out, giving a lot of value over to Kleptic, giving a lot more oomph to this squishy matchup, means Clove is going to have more kill viability in the mid lane. Sad is now going to be able to deal with these ganks in the mid lane. I mean, really bad Zed and Sword, they don't get strong unless they get those big kills, unless we see that farm. So these situations that are currently occurring, leaning into Northeastern as they start to build up their the foundations to their team fight mid to late game comp.
Yeah, those foundations have definitely been established right about now, but the one main monkey wrench will definitely be Rock going behind in that lane. The Urgot has been staying even most of the time. Eventually, they will be able to be a really big problem. Rock is still playing reserved, still playing respectful. I was waiting for that assault and battery to go forward, but they're playing it pretty passively, and Rock can just flip it underneath the tower, has no problems whatsoever, taking that trade, and will not expand further as of yet. This is gonna come to a climax, and it's gonna come right here because Rock stepped too far forward.
Yep, it took a little bit of time, and honestly, I don't think there's a way out here, but you do flash. The claw brings you right back in, and that is going to be death. So it is going to be a nice turn in favor on this top side, with the value over to Grubs just as well. You can see the pings going down there as Soar is going to use that momentum.
Yeah, good momentum. That's the second set of Grubs for the side of Luminary. So they've swapped over sides, swapped over which objectives they're going to take. For the bot side, however, no problems whatsoever for Eunuch. You still got the lead, you still got Clove and Kleptic that should have easy prio if they want to. They're just trying to zone out little Libra and Impact as much as they can, and as we can tell, those Soul Slayers are definitely hurting still with that poke Varus, so Jinx is gonna have a lot of problems even trying to farm in lane. But the one place that is starting to have problems now is Sad on the Swain. Pretty significantly, and that might pose problems for the dragon taking abilities, but they're just running it out. They're just trying to test their luck. No words whatsoever from either team, and they're just gonna think that one through with no contest.
It's just a kind of weird happenstance here, as this is going to be over the wall. Rocket is used, and it's a steal! Mpex able to secure the dragon and gives the feats over to the side of Luminary Gaming.
Well, that one is the monkey wrench that we were talking about. You know, you're talking about 2-0 dragon, 2-0 for the other side for the Grubs, but now you have traded feats. So 1-for-1 for feats. Whoever gonna get the first turret is going to be the one in the lead. And speaking of the lead, in the realm of that shall Urgot go, and it's gonna be very easy for Mordekaiser to win that 1v1. Rock is losing a lot of the luster that they've had in game one, and this time around, they feel like Northeastern University Red, they're starting to be shaky, and that might be a problem. Luckily enough, they do have the bottom side of the map that is doing excellently. That maybe when it comes to the 5-on-5s, I think Clove and Kleptic are definitely gonna have the lion's share of the impact this time. Oh, this freeze is nasty.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. You can see that the that we're gonna see that gold kind of increase here already. Without any kills, we're seeing the kind of that shift in there for Clove, almost like 1k up in there, and it's gonna be even worse as you stated. However, right now it is a race for the first tower as Libra trying to keep themselves safe. That is gonna be a cleanse out, and it looks like that's gonna be a flash forward, even as there comes that assault and battery, a cease and desist, and that'll be a kill back. So a great chance for Soar to bring the damage back. And Eunuch was a little bit slow on that trade value instead. So now we're seeing kind of that punch in with that Dragon Steel. Mpex and Libra getting help from Soar.
Absolutely, and especially that being the shutdown. It wasn't even Clove that was the shutdown, it was Kleptic. They're able to get that one. It's still Impact Tower, but they will be stopped by the charm.
Unfortunately, that was a painful one because Eunuch was trying to bring a little bit of value back instead, and unfortunately, it just didn't go their way. So it is a tough.
However, Flash will still be expended for them.
Oh yeah, we're having a good time. Unfortunately, Volt was a little bit in and out, so I do apologize about that one. Volt, I'm glad that you're back with us, of course, and hopefully we get to keep having you. But the bot side is a collection of mishaps as Mpex eats a lot of damage. Another rock coming out here as Mpex is running for their life. Great chompers to deny any further, but yet that was another death. But inside of that mid lane, Sad staying alive for the moment, but unfortunately it's going to be another punch. One more auto will take it as that's a shutdown over to really bad Zed.
Yeah, another kill coming in for the blue team. Luminary Gaming now looking soundly in the lead. 2-0 for the Mordekaiser, 2-1 for the Jinx that was incredibly struggling. Of course, still behind in CS, but with those kind of kills found back towards their way, they can easily just say, hey, Soar, you are allocated to the bot lane. Get Jinx back in the game. Everybody else is doing well. We just need Jinx to be able to play. And the Jinx isn't really falling behind in the items. Impact still found the Yuntal on a very similar timing towards Clove, who is going to be frozen for a little bit under itemization, because you know how the Mana Immune and the Muramana go. You're a little bit stunted. Sure, you get the item, but you need to complete the quest for you to get the full value and full spike, and that's not gonna come now. It's gonna wait a little bit more, which will give them ample time. We got a minute and a half for that. I think we got like 4 more minutes for Herald. So it should be pretty safe on the bot side, but top side seems that they are culminating a dive on the lane swap.
I mean, Sad has yet to really reach into that burn build, went for the Rylai's first and is now just building into that Haunting Guise, but this is little Libra really getting punished here. Tried to flash away, but there's no way that you're going to stay safe there. That's quick. Fear beyond depth, and that's a dub for, excuse me, that side.
Yeah, well, it worked really, really well for them on that part. They found the kill on the lane swap. Now Mpex on their own. Meanwhile, Kleptic can go. Trying to play against Samurai Jack, who might want to go for the ultimate. Indeed, he has found Kleptic. That's a flash Q, but I feel like that's a little bit ambitious. They're not going to kill Kleptic in time, and they will go out. They might still never mind. My back is sore. Will soar down on Cove and Kleptic as they both go down for a double kill for the Mord.
Oh no, all of a sudden that Mordecai is looking way more powerful. Samurai Jack being a bully right now. Massive burn damage, and again, Kleptic. I mean, you had the kills, but you're a support at the end of a day. And it looks like we are seeing the likes of Luminary really come into form. This team comp that we mentioned has a little bit more team fight prowess. Is starting to rear its head right now. That is going to be Rift Herald attempted by the side of Northeastern, but it's fended off thanks to Mpex, Libra, and really bad Zed.
Yeah, they played that one pretty well, but there might be a bit of a problem here. Luckily enough, easy sailings from my back of sword got out of that one. It's going to be another dragon started by the side of Northeastern University. Red, this time, Jinx is all the way in the top side. However, still got a Super Mega Death Rocket, still able to steal yet another one.
Oh my gosh, that is it's a thought and a half, but right now it's not going to happen as Mpex is just looking for this first tower. Again, this has been a bully moment for them the entire time. I mean, Mpex already an item deep, has that crit build up, moving through. First tower means it's the boots alive for this squad. And Northeastern, a little bit less in that bank, but Dragon did go their way as this is going to be a Cloud Soul to play for.
Yeah, great work by them here. Now things start to slow down a fair bit, and I feel like that's going to be the case for now. Clove is going to be put up against the Mordecai. They're high range for Navaris, and he's trying to charge off the mana. Meanwhile, on the other side, Swain is the other member side laning, so it's primarily going to be a very slow mid game. But Sad, that one is not slow. He is being caught off.
And this is again, you're not at that powerful point just yet, and granting really bad Zed yet another piece of the pie with the Nash's Tooth. That Emperor is starting to become a menace. Eunuch, though, looking towards that mid lane. At this point, it really does feel that for Northeastern, it's kind of just defend mode here. You're trying to mitigate a lot of this damage before a lot of your champions start to come online.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those champions do actually rely on getting 2 items, you know? Just the Hull Breaker is good for Rock, but for you to stand toe-to-toe against that Mordekaiser now, you just want to complete your second item. Of course, there it comes. A 1-on-1 with the Mordekaiser. That's a great buffer there from Rock. And that one, I feel like, was really much needed, because if he went to the Death Realm, that would have been one dead Ergotten. Game is starting to slow down, but as I can tell, really bad Zed, they might want to make a play in the mid lane here.
They could probably make it pretty well. Double flash out, though, as they were a little bit slow with that shuffle with the Emperor's Divide, and it is going to lead to a safe Cloak and Kleptic, but 1 flash for 2 plus an ult. I think that's a worthwhile trade at the current moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. You know, you got 5 minutes, or give or take, where you can hit that Varus, hit that Karma. They have no other forms of mobility. When you talk about those 2 champions, the main thing that they have is like, what, a Ghost Blade from Clove? Then there's the Barrier. But if you're talking about the way that this team is going, you know, the Mordekaiser can easily 1-on-1. Mpex is completely back in the game. So you feel fairly confident if you're on the side of Luminary. Meanwhile, Northeastern University, of course, as we've said, they should be on defense mode. That's why I don't know why they are actually willing to handshake as many trades as they are. You know, like the Urgot is pretty far behind. Starner hasn't even killed really or had any proc of the hard steel as of yet. So it should be a pretty slow game for Northeastern University. All they want to do is maybe in 2 minutes contest that dragon, hopefully use their macro to get that dragon, get its whole point. And that should keep them in the game for an extended period. Just stalling that soul. Making sure that they get enough time to itemize, because it's 2 items already for Sad, and Clove is also halfway towards the Manamia.
100% agree with that one. I mean, not only that, you can take a look at the gold itself. You're only 1k behind. It's not like you're out of this game completely. I mean, we are seeing Sad already 2 items in, starting to have a little bit more extra value. You might want to get that Zanya's as soon as possible because you have the Dark Steel. I mean, playing for those kills, and obviously you didn't really get them. The one that you're really watching here is Slamurai Jack. Slamurai already 2, looking to 2.5. Now Sad getting jumped on here, and this is kind of that same song and dance. You do have Flash available, but is it really going to use anything? I mean, not really. Now in the mid lane, Mpex though getting caught out without a support. Rocket goes sideways, and oh my god, that almost was a 1v2. Needless to say though, Clove might still die. That's a flash in. TP towards the top side, as that's gonna be a shove though, as really bad Zed is barely able to get out of range, but one more tag might be able to do it. Good twist and turn shutdown to Rocket Dust, but here comes extra damage as the rest of this squad wants revenge. Luminary Gaming illuminating this top lane as they are taking over yet again, channeling up Soar, being able to buffer that charge out, but it's still death and glory to the Luminary squad as they take that fight 3-2.
Yeah, it's all life for Luminary, and you can tell the darkness is coming over to take over the game for Northeastern University. Again, trying to find a trade. Sure, it was a good trade for the top to mid, but mid lane is the place that was most susceptible to play like this, where we've seen Slamurai and Libra Lady doubling up, taking that escort. The heal and the flash were used by the Milio and Mordekaiser respectively to get that trade kill. So they end up in a good position, but maybe the real problematic part is that you don't have the Demonic Ascension, you don't have the Fear Beyond Death, you don't have the Impale, and the dragon is coming up right now, and that's not just the dragon, that's the dragon on the Otacon back-to-back.
Yeah, this is just, it's a painful moment to be in, as Sad is still on the bot side, taking a look for their own. Went ahead and got the armor boots as well, but this is going to be a drop of the Herald. 4v4 in the mid lane, and I'm not sure this is one they want. Rockiness actually went in. I'm not sure why, but that's going to be the Herald used to get an extra knockup as Klepta goes down. That's a 2-piece. Going over to Mpex. Mpex now drawn underneath the tower, is going to be annihilated and follow through with a little bit more damage as Slamurai realizes that maybe that's not where they want to be, so it's a 2-for-2 so far. But Sad saying, let's keep going. Sad runs out of the Demonic Ascension, though. That's a lot of damage down, and really bad Zed saying, I am here for the follow-up. So a bad situation for Northeastern, made okay. However, for Luminary Gaming, they're saying, cool, we got 2 kills, let's go straight for the dragon.
Yeah, it is salvaged somewhat, of course, by that kill onto Mpex, but at the end of the day, that wasn't really the primary one. It was the shutdown of Samurai Jack that really made them work. Sad TPing there, but I think they shouldn't be able to contest, maybe finding the kills, however, as Little Libra Lady is forced to flash away, Assault and Battery for the Vi. So they all get away unscathed, all of them alive, and they have even dubbed the number of dragons, which does buy some time for them, and it's taken more and more away from the side of Northeastern University that hope that they will actually get an early soul point. Sad needs to be careful here. He's dead to rights.
Well, we say that. There's a shove. Okay, now we might be dead to rights, as there is no ultimate, there's no pinch. Unut can't really do anything, and this has happened about 4 times, as Sad currently has 4 deaths. It's been a primary point of focus, and I appreciate it. I feel like Luminary Gaming are understanding that, yeah, this swing can be a big wrench in the back of our side, so let's go ahead and take them out, and that rotates us into the Octagon, which is going to be very, very helpful in the next few moments. Granted, on the other end, Northeastern are able to get some form of value as they're taking quite a few towers to their own name as well.
Oh, I was thinking, hey, you know, they would think, we got GA, let's just go crazy and dive them, get that double kill. Maybe we get a tower or 2 behind it. It is 2 towers, for the side of Northeastern. So now they're the team that are playing for that macro that has actually evened up the goal score. But of course, that will change as soon as that tower goes away. Still got a minute and I think a little bit around 2 minutes for that full slice of the Otacon that they can definitely use to flip that Baron if they want to.
I wonder if this is also going to be that chance to flip around the entire game. I mean, you mentioned the flip that could occur here, but is it going to be enough? You're currently down at about 700 gold. Yes, that's not a whole lot, but the weight behind it, the fact that you lost so many team fights and haven't really found a good answer to Slamurai Jack, who I misread by a mile. This Mordekaiser that I was really worried about has found so much value. 5, 1, and 4 going for that Rylai's next. I mean, it's been overwhelming to say the least. So
yeah.
I'm very, very curious that Baron might be the turning point, whether for one side or the other.
I mean, the reason that I think the Baron should be the obvious play, you got the full slide from the Otacon, you still got a fair bit of time. If you just hover over anyone from the side of Luminary there on the blue team, you might just see the remainder of the duration. I think it's halfway through already. So what I would do personally is I would start Baron and then I would turn on the members at Northeastern University. That's the play that I want to see them start to do, but they're not doing that. They're playing the game standard, and I feel like you really shouldn't do that if you're focusing that Otacon. It's already 3/4 of the way over. You only got around 40 seconds or so, and I feel like they really need to make use of that.
I think a lot of people have actually used it as like that tower diving mechanic. It's always been really fun to watch someone just hard dive with it, just be like, hey, you know, we'll see if we get value out of it. But as you said, it's left a little bit to the wayside, and nothing else has really come from it. So I guess a little bit of a freebie. Now granted, if you're able to find this tower, it is a nice bit, and you know, maybe a little extra behind, as we are going to wait and see. This Baron is still on the table. 3 towers total for the side of Luminary. Here comes the big fight. Slamurai looking to try and rotate out and around. It is stopped though as the TP comes in here. Slamurai trying to draw Eunuch into a really dangerous situation, and they are. But of course, in a 1v1, you pinch the strongest one, and this might be that turn yet again. Rocking us trying to get into the mix. It's going to be a Fear Beyond Death going sideways though, as the Chain of Corruption is going to land. And now Slamurai Jack realizing they're not in a great space, running away, and they lost the Otacon GA at the wrong moment. So full kill cred goes over. And that is a huge boon, as it's a 1-for-1. Channeled up as My Back is Sword is going to run away. Rocket landing on multiple as Really Bad Zed trying to chase further as Kleptic is running for their life. I don't know if this is going to be great right now, but Really Bad Zed takes too many tower shots, flash away on the back end as Eunuch is able to stay safe. And honestly, considering how that could have gone, well played by Northeastern.
Yeah, well played by them, but can they handle the remainder of the onslaught? Because these are 4 healthy members, and you will have to give away that tier 2. Tier 3, I think, is too greedy to go for. That's why I respect the movement that they've just done. You know, you get that tier 2, maybe you try to sneak a camp, or just get your recall, you know, just be safe. Go for the Baron play from here. The gold lead, of course, hasn't really gone away from them, but as you've highlighted, Orbital, just about target selection, and this is perfect target selection from Clove and Eunuch.
Oh, not only that, they drew the TP, and honestly, you can fight this. Slamurai Jack is like, oh, nope, don't want anything to do there. Does have the ultimate ready to go as you're level 16 now, and might try and fight Eunuch as quickly as possible, but this is actually very, very dangerous. Take a look at this. You go ahead and bring them a little bit closer in, but this 4v5 without your Jinx, which Mpex has actually done very well, moving into the Dragon could be very dangerous, so I wouldn't be surprised to just see a give. I mean, it's a Cloud Dragon. Really, what's the harm in there?
I mean, it's actually a lot of harm. Because if you think about it,
but
like
comparatively to the other dragons.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I would say Cloud Dragon here is a very valuable, because you're a team that rely on sticking to the enemy team. So that slow resist is immaculate for the Swain, for the Skarner, for the Urgot even. Just, you know, just the fact that you can't be kited by the Milio and by the Mordekaiser, who are trying to slow you down with the Rylai's, with the pushes, with the slow from the Azir Q. You know, it makes a lot of sense for it to be valuable. I feel like Cloud Soul is absolutely impeccable in that team, whether it is for Northeastern University or even for Luminary, because I feel like it would work pretty well for them. Sad's still on side lane duty, but speaking of things taken to the sides, the Baron is now in their sights once again. No false life, no GA, but they definitely got a lot of power here in that Mordekaiser if they want to play around him.
Yep. I mean, if that Mordekaiser can find a good pick that's outside of Eunuch, I think it's going to be a whole different story. I mean, you look at Rockinus, who still just barely got some sort of MR. It can be damaging. That's going to be a claw and a half. Misses, though, but they're going to jump on Rockinus, and they might try and burst him out as soon as possible. That's going to be a double impale, though, into the Fear Beyond Death, and they get it. So that might be a huge fear to come out, and that's going to almost delete the likes of Samurai Jack, but Samurai Jack still comes back with a vengeance, and that's a shove into the rocket. Massive sweep and win by the side of Luminary Gaming as they ace to head to Baron.
And they needed that fear for the Fear Beyond Death. Luckily enough for Slamurai, he's taken somebody into the Shadow Realm, bought enough time for himself, won the matchup against their counterpart on the top side, and now with the Baron, this game might be closing in on its final chapters. Full ace onto the side of Northeastern University, and the real question, Orbital, is a question of what is the winning line here for you on the side of Northeastern? How long do you even scale at this point, or have you just been outscaled by that Azir and the Jinx?
I think you have been outscaled. I mean, they're shoving down these two towers yet again, and I think this is going to be that opening. Samurai Jack had such an immaculate game on the top side, and I was worried again. This composition that felt it indexed much better into the late game has found that value, but Northeastern, they just weren't able to find that rebuttal. That Swain in that mid lane just got chunked out so heavily, 6 deaths in, and Cloak and Kleptic, they had a good sign, but Apoke Varus, as we mentioned, just not able to contend with the output of damage that a Jinx will bring. So right now we are seeing those final touches. Inhibitor down in mid, inhibitor tower down in the top side, so you still have some safety guaranteed there. Cloak is going to try and pick up those super minions in the mid lane and reach level 16. The dragon, though, up in about 2.5 minutes, might be played for as Eunuch. Looking for a chance and a half, pinches that Jinx against a wall, but is it really going to be enough? That's a swing, good wall, bringing him close, and yes, Samurai Jack yet again being a bully into the back line, bringing team for the rest of the group, and Sad trying to run for their life. Granted, they are going to survive for a little bit longer, but Samurai Jack is still allowed to leave, and that's the difference here. With everything thrown, Luminary keep all 5 alive and even have Sword pushing on the bot side.
Just a pixel downwards on that Nevermore, and they would have connected with the main carry that they were going for here from start to finish. Unfortunately for them, the Death Bush play didn't work out. They lose the tier 2 in the ball lane, and they stand to lose a lot more. Remember, it's an exposed Nexus third here in Soar, going for a wall, going for the backline. They're trying to end the game here.
I think they absolutely can, as that's a quick annihilation to one. Sad breaking out the demonic extension once again, but it's going to be waited out. It's going to be timed out here. And honestly, that just leaves more time for a push on the top side, for a push on the bot side. This is Luminary Gaming. As long as they don't mess up, as long as they don't walk in one by one, I really don't see them losing anytime soon. Really bad Zed off on the side, sending those soldiers in for a battle. That's a jump forward and a great slam of one. But how many more can you get? Rockinus really trying to make this save happen. It looks like they saved off defeat for now.
Yeah, saved off defeat, kept them in the game for a little bit more, but this next dragon is either going to be soul for them or a soul point for the side of Luminary. Luckily enough for the side of Northeastern University, the game is not over, and that inhibitor should be spawning rather soon. So there is some light at the end of that tunnel, but the real problem is, I feel like it's been dug too deep by the Emperor. Again, you know, you're the king of Shurima, you're the king of sand, so digging is pretty much your expertise in that way. But, you know, to counter that point, we've seen Northeastern University dig deep for game 1. And I think that they are capable of digging deep here again. If they find another one of those engages a Eunuch is found towards the mid-tier 2, that can be great. But the real problem is they're first to the objective, and that is okay because they don't get anything here, and this might be the game end. The TP is coming in and they're not shying away from the side of Luminary.
No, this is going to be a full fight. Libra is forced out, but that's going to be the chance. Chain of Corruption lands on multiple, and that's going to be Rocket that's trying to hold on for dear life, but it's not going to work as that melting occurs. Again, Mpex with the triple, flashing over the wall. That's going to be a kill to Samurai Jack, but a 4 quadra. Huge for Mpex. Ace overall for Luminary Gaming as we are headed to a game number 3.
Well, it's gonna take everything from the two teams. Both teams have found a game on the board in their dying struggle. to get a game victory to escape being last place in the, I think it's the Isles group. And of course now takes us all down to the best of one. It's bronze scrapes, as we will see how things go off. So Orbital, you know, I think we've seen two very different games, but very similar happenings. Just I feel like the teams are just mirrored, you know, like whoever was on the blue team basically did blue team stuff, and whoever's on the red team did red team stuff.
And this, I think, fell more to Samurai Jack. I mean, Soar with this Vi had a much more clear identification factor. We mentioned the difficulty of finding that back line, and with the Vi, as long as you are stepped up in front, as long as your team is ready to answer, you have follow-up. I give them a lot of credit for that. Soloing out the likes of the Swain, of the Urgot. I mean, both the solo lanes, they held some weight, but at the end of the day, fell to Samurai Jack, who 9-2-9 on this Mordekaiser. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, and well, you see one of the things that are definitely characteristic of those Varus comps. Just look, compare the top damage, or even the damage averages really of the two teams. It's like only 12k for Skarner, 18 for Swain, and 26 that is Clove there on the Varus top damage dealer for their team. Meanwhile, the enemy team is easily crushing 30k. You got 3 people going over 30k. Slamurai, of course, being a standout, 37,000 damage. And that should tell you the story of this game. Just not enough damage from the side of Northeastern University. And a part of that is the draft. Another part of that for me is their, I guess, fixation, what I would call it, towards the Poke Varus. Sure, Clove actually plays it pretty well, but I feel like sometimes it's very suboptimal, and the power of picks like the Varus is that you got those multiple modes. You can go on hit if you want to. You can go poke if you want to. Hell, you can even go AP. So, like, sticking to your guns can work at times, but that game was really a call for change, a call for somebody to melt the tanks, and he didn't provide that. Nobody in the team provided that, so it was very easy for the Vi to stay alive for the majority of the part, for the Mordekaiser to be tanky. And, well, if they're both alive, we've seen what MPix and Redivadzak can do with a big, beefy front line in front of them.
I would agree with that one. Right now, we are going to the game 3. Both Luminary and Northeastern have shown us a lot of gumption, have also shown us some cracks in the armor and in the gameplay. So we'll see which comes out on top, as both teams are still hunting for their first victory, series victory of this season. So please don't go anywhere. The ADL will be returning for the finale in just a bit. Of course, we are set for game number 3. The teams were more than ready, so we cut the timer short. We said, let's dive in, because Northeastern is now back on the blue side. It is down to a best of 1. Both teams have another chance at victory, and we are straight into draft once again. Luminary Gaming, though, still with the same bans, and Northeastern still in the same value.
Yeah, still the same value. I wouldn't think the bans would actually change that much. Because when I think about it, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that you want to ban those specialties. Little Libra Lady is great on the Milio, so I feel like the Janna ban is like, you know, you respect the power of the Janna. There's some playmaking happening. It's going to be the Jinx again. This time, however, for Northeastern, which does prompt an answer of that Kog'Maw. I haven't seen that one in a hot minute, but honestly, Cog Lulu absolutely cooks in this current meta.
True. But I'm not sure if that's going to be a Lulu, right? You sit there and go, okay, we hope it's a Lulu.
No, just protect the president. No, that's it. Just protect the president.
I know, but like we're assuming this is also going to be a Milio pickup because one side's going to get Milio, one side's going to get Lulu. It feels like, right? Because Lulu could also pair really well with that Jinx, and so far we have seen that Milio go over to Lil Libra every single time, and it's worked. Don't get me wrong, has had some fantastic ultimates, has had a great soccer ball kick on a few. But this is going to be that chance of Northeastern willing to play another utility piece to fight back.
Orbital. I'm
there
sorry.
It is.
The European,
there it is.
Yeah. Look, the European in me just stopped thinking when you said soccer ball. That's all. he said soccer ball.
Every time. It's gonna be great.
I have had enough. But as we've said, that's a trade of both the supports. There's the Mordekaiser. There is no Darius, but I wouldn't actually expect an Urgot there. And I'm not gonna lie, I think Camille would make a lot of sense. You know, I'm looking at the drafts, I'm looking at what they can play. Like a Camille pick here would be great. Mundo's also excellent. The problem for the Mundo is he works great in sensitive to team fights, but the laning phase against Mordekaiser, just gonna be clear, unless you know how to throw those meat clovers, it's gonna be horrendous for you.
And now we see that same build out though, as we see the mid lane pinched once again, and we have to talk about the fact that Sad had a really rough time in game number 2. They were pinched out, they were hard focused honestly on that Swain. They didn't build Zanya's until item 3, and at that point you're already lost in the sauce a little bit. So the fact that we are seeing that Azir ban, I think gives a lot of hope. Northeastern have kind of prioritized and said, look, junglers are left, which we drafted junglers in games 1 and 2 in the first round. This time around, let's hard focus that mid lane. Let's really ensure that neither Sad or Zed are going to have a great time. These are not going to be great utility, but no, they actually pinch apart the Azir and the Vi.
Yeah, well, all I'm gonna say, they're called Sat for a reason. You know, you pinch the mid lane pool, they don't get that much priority in the drafting order. It just definitely feels rough for them. I understand the vibe, Ando, but the defaulting to the Diana is the thing that we're gonna see here. That can still be mid or jungle, but we've seen where it has gone before, and I'm not a big fan of Diana in the mid lane. Maybe against this current team comp is okay, but then again, you can just dash in and the Lulu can polymorph you. Fun?
Yeah.
Fun. That's really fun.
I will always say though, I hate seeing Diana alone. Like it's the same thing with the Vi. I don't like seeing it on its own, and we saw this in game number 1. So now we see a lot of disengage and a lot of lockdown tools coming out here. As that is a Maokai inside of the jungle there with Northeastern saying, okay, if you're gonna play this kind of dive-in comp, we're gonna stall you out. We're gonna have that advance of the vines, and I am quite curious. That's huge. And now we get the Garen, so this might be a Mord mid, which I actually like this dynamic, by the way. If you run Mord mid into the Diana, you get a lot of damage, and then the Garen to cut down on top. This is going to be chaotic.
I would have actually said it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be more top Garen mid. Garen works really well against the Diana. You know, she just throws a Q at you. You're like, yeah, bro, nice try. I'm gonna run at you, and I have no problems. We're both melee. So if the Diana ever dares to walk up to CS, he's not gonna have an easy time against that Garen. But actually, it's another pivot, so the cookie crumbles that way. Diana in the jungle, and Mundo's gonna go topside with Anivia mid. Well, that's a callback I've ever seen one. It's not a fearless draft, but it is looking like one. You know, like we've seen a lot of variety in the third game, and it's a draft that I'm actually, for the first time in a while, I think I'm a fan of Luminary's draft over Northeastern University.
I'm thrown for a loop. I feel like this is gonna get spicy, and I am excited. Either way, this is going down to the wire again. Both teams are looking for the first series win. This would quite literally determine their fourth place seeding. That is the crazy part. Both teams are looking at this and getting a little bit worried. So we are going to go to a very short break. We are going to identify where this kicks in, and once we know where the champions go and the teams go, I'm going to be excited to break this out and see who comes out on top. So please don't go anywhere. We here at the ADL will be right back. we have confirmation where everyone is going sad with the Garen phase rush ignite mid. Mordekaiser rocking us, running that in the top lane, being a little bit BM to Samurai Jack, who took the Mundo to the top lane with Ghost, and then my Bakasor with the Diana as really bad Zed, opting for the Anivia, which all of us have a lot of question marks.
Hey, you have all those question marks. I have my one big question. Can Clove actually play non-poke ADCs? We're starting the game where Clove is not on that Varus, is not going poke, instead on the Jinx Lulu against, out of everything that could have happened, a Kog'Maw Milio for game number 3 for the 4th seed in the Isles group here in the ADLs. Now it has officially become a best of 1, and the two teams have gotten full respect. This is a game that has a lot riding on it. Neither of those two teams have had a win just yet. And given their standing, this win is probably the one that they're both hoping for. As we start off the laning phase, both junglers start on the top side. And that means that MPEC, Lil Libra Lady, Clove, and Kleptic will be the early targets for the 3.5-4 minute action.
Playing this one nice, and interestingly, of course, on the bot side we get another carry versus carry as we've opted away from this Eris, which I kind of agree with, but taking away the Jinx from Mpex as well. And this Kog'Maw, I'm very, very curious about it, because we talked about the Lulu and the Milio matchup, a little bit different here and there, and I'm curious to see exactly where it does shell out, if it's going to shell out overall, and if that helps at the end. As we go ahead and take a look, lanes are assigned. Not only that, both junglers opting into full clears, which does make sense, but also means they'll both meet down in the bottom lane yet again.
Yeah, and well, actually, I'll speak of that bottom lane for a little bit. The reason why I think Kog'Maw Lulu works a lot better than Kog'Maw Milio, despite the Libra Lady's expertise, is that, well, Lulu's more aggressive. You know, Milio has heals, shields, and disengages. Lulu has modes. Lulu can just use the E to damage or shield. Can use the polymorph to give attack speed and movement speed, or polymorph someone. Can use the glitter lance to deal damage or kite back. So you have that aggressive option that actually allows some breathing space for that Kog'Maw. Right now in this lane, you're hoping that Mpex doesn't do any missteps, because of course, whenever you walk into the range of Kleptic, this is exactly what's going to happen. Kleptic is just going to use all of his abilities, try to deal as much damage as you can to Mpex, that eventually, when that Maokai comes around to what should be a lane gang, because they have the prio and should have the push in the lane, they are going to be able to set him up, because Mpex is not shying away from walking into what could be engage range.
You're willing to try and trade out your life, get a little bit messy, which has actually led you to a pot disadvantage. You can see here already down, and that means that Eunuch is trying to throw down a little bit more as well. Mpex, of course, walking away very cleanly. I say cleanly because the Chompers were down as well. Sad, of course, in this mid lane, getting chunked out early and might have to burn the flash depending. Yes, does. That's a dive underneath the tower, though, as my back is sore, says, yo, let's bring the pain.
An important first blood here for this fight as well. They could have risked possibly losing that one. And Luminary starting off again with another kill. My back is score. Seems to have at least gotten both scuttles. So a very good start for the red team is only Mpex. One person that could be in harm's way. Luckily enough, there is a Milio, there is a shield and a heal. So no problems whatsoever, as everything is going through.
That is a huge space opportunity. I mean, really bad said. As we all know, Garen is going to outscale to an extent. It gets very annoying. Even if you die early, you have that damage. I mean, we've seen the Garens even in pro play, even in the tier 1 scene being picked up, just being that annoyance, being that chaotic factor. And even if you die early, if you can scale up, if you can farm up, I mean, you're already, what, 2 waves up on your opponent. Now you get to go into the jungle and bully out as well. Rocking us, of course, rocking it in the top side here against that Mord for the time being, and just trying to get that extra farm in there as well. This dragon has spawned. I believe Grubs will be up in the next minute, so everyone has a little bit of a test, as it is going to be the likes of the Hextech dragon to start.
Yeah, Hextech Dragon, but a lot of lead there for Clove and Kleptic in the bot lane. This is the third time that we see them picking a winning early game bot lane. So the identity is very clear. You just want to get Clove and Kleptic a lane that is winning. They can drive that one through, already 8 CS in the lead, and they are keeping Impex and Little Liber Lady towards the bot side to what can be Unix just saying, hey, I can either move on, get a dragon for free since we have Prio, or we can orchestrate a dive if we want to do that. But well, no need for dives because action in the top lane. Pretty much center of mass, and luckily enough, Slamurai seems to be good with those Clovers, so at least Mundo isn't really getting punished as much in terms of health, but both the Mundo and the Kog'Maw are definitely losing in CS.
I mean, they just... I feel like we kind of expected this as well. We mentioned the fact that the Lulu can be a lot more oppressive in the lane phase, and I mean, Liber has been great at the defensive, not so much on the proactive, so it's always been kind of this state of play. Sad, though, getting chunked out. There's not a whole lot of mana to work with for really bad Zed, and I don't think you tower dive this either, so it will be a safe play for Sad, who is most likely swinging for the, I would say, Hex Drinker very early on.
I mean, there are a lot of options here. I wouldn't actually go for the Hex Drinker early, because I feel like if you go defensive, then you lose any hope of gaining kill pressure on the Anivia, something that you desperately need if you're the Garen. Otherwise, you don't feel scary, you don't feel threatening. That if you're just gonna press R, push the wave, and you have no impact whatsoever. Hex Drinker, sure, is good if really bad Zed is consistently trading, which he is for now because you don't have defenses. But if you do buy the defenses, Anivia can just switch the mode, outrange you, play very passively, and not allow you any way to get in, because if you just use the wall defensively, Garen is completely outclassed. So it makes a lot of sense if you want to go for the offensive route. It seems like that's what's going to happen. Double dagger, so probably what I would guess to be the PD start. And speaking of starting things off well, it's a dragon for the side of LG, but Northeastern University Red will start off once again with those grubs on the top side. So blue side seems to be grub side. That's what we've gained from this best of 3.
Let's see what they can play out here. Really bad Zed, just going right back to the laning phase and just all right, yeah, we'll hold off here and play smart. Another side, of course, is the fact that Mpex is just trying to get the extra damage down, and I'm still waiting to see this big pop-off moment. Again, we saw the first blood a little bit early on, and now we're just still waiting for the extra as Clove is trying to punch in their number as well. So I am very curious how this game is going to play out. Both teams have obviously dropped a game or gained a game, if you will, and we still need to see that. We need to see improvements across the entirety of the series, I think.
Orbital, I'll ask you this. Do you think that there's going to be a pop-off moment in the first 15 minutes in a game where there's a Kog'Maw on one side?
I pray every day. I do not have a whole lot of hope, though.
Yeah, let's be very real. This is like the epitome of action. A two-man chompers that might actually end up in a kill. Well, at least it ended up in summoners being pulled out of the Clove.
Yep, you go ahead and just play this a little bit smart. You slow the pace, and granted, Mpex didn't lose out too much on the HP value because you already went back, had that major buy of the sustain, so that's why we're seeing that difference here. Junglers, for the record, are still playing relatively safe as well. Eunuch has been sitting on that level 6 for a short period. My back is sore, sitting on level 7, hasn't really entered the lanes too heavily, so still waiting to see a lot of that. Really bad Zed, of course, getting chased out a little bit, and this is where Sad starts to have a lot of fun in this lane matchup. You can see just kind of running up as soon as that Glacial Storm is down. It's a run and see if you can get some extra damage down.
Yeah, absolutely. But well, they just need to do more of that, has to be the main thing. Luckily enough for Sad, though, they didn't get punished by the Q being hit, and Samurai has no problems whatsoever sitting up in that lane. My back is sore is spotted on that ward, so there is no real way where Clove and Kleptic should be killed. But the main problem is the wave is pulled away from them, and they're gonna have to bleed a lot. Look at that moonfall!
An attempt was made, and you burn the flash and heal, but my back is sore, making a huge call down. Late TP coming in, though, as that's going to be huge advances from the roots. It will catch Mpex at the end of that fight, but really bad Zed now getting caught in the rotation. That's a problem. Wall not between it actually forces the Anivia flash as well. So a little bit of distraction on either end, as no one really goes down, but every summoner spell expended.
Yeah, everything expanded. That was a big, messy fight. No ultimates from either of the junglers. Flash is still there for Munich, though. So if they want to play that dive against MPEX and Lil Libra, they can definitely do that because mana is a real concern. My back is sore. It's gonna back off, and of course, as we've said, nobody wants to test this waters out because you give away a kill to either the Kog'Maw or the Jinx, and the game can swing tremendously in the way that things are going to proceed. Top lane is just top lane. This is what we expected, though. You know, top lane is never going to have anything interesting. But what is interesting, though, Orbital, is the Anivia without a flash, but with a passive. So it's a unique proposition. Do you actually pressure down Anivia? Do you think that they have enough to kill her and the Egg form as well?
I would say so. I mean, you're not scaling just yet. You're still waiting for the Rod of Ages to be completed. So really bad Zed is still taking a little bit of time to scale up here. I mean, we're 11 minutes into the game, so it'll take a moment, but I think you do. Mainly just because if you're down an egg, you have lower resistance and all, so we could see it. But of course, depending on how my back is sore is able to help out, maybe we do see that egg being covered. Of course, at the current moment, even though Dragon went the way of this of the Luminary squad, we are seeing the grubs be taken away on the blue side, and for the first time, it does feel like the grubs were taken in early fashion. Now in the mid lane, though, Sad getting chunked out here, but again, it's again, this is a Garen that you just do not care anytime you get ganked. It's a double AP, which is not the most threatening thing in the world. That is going to give 6 grubs over to the side of Northeastern for this game.
Yeah, and not just the phase rush, by the way, it's also the courage as well, being procced in the right time. And the courage is really the key to solo killing that Anivia. Even solo killing really like anybody else on that team. If you want to go for that, you know, the courage should easily dissuade any slows. Then you proc the phase rush, you go for that all-in kill in the Anivia and the solo lane. That is definitely something that they can do, but nothing is going to be happening for now as both teams seems to be setting up towards the dragon, and it seems to be that for the side of LG, Luminary are just giving up that dragon, so it's 1 for 1, but that is 2, actually no, that's all 3, because they got the 6 grubs as well, so no feats yet. It's only the objective feat, and whoever gets first third is going to swing how the pieces strengthen the upgraded group.
Let's see if that does help out here. Make sure that you get all the buffs available and get all the strengths. I mean, we're still sitting out probably the quietest game so far. You mentioned the fact that, you know, by 15 minutes we probably won't see anything, and so far you're on track. 2 minutes left on whether this is going to work or not, whether we're going to see this excess of battles. And I mean, that timer might be winding down. Rocket Nuts looking to try and get a little bit feisty with it, and realizes that they're getting chunked out here and there is no way to really win this out. I think you're just kind of dead to rights. My back is sore, goes ahead and picks up yet another kill for themselves.
Well, he uses the indestructible way too early there, Rock. He uses it at bare minimum charge as well. He thought, oh, like nothing's gonna happen, you know, I'm just trading blows with Samurai, I can just use that to heal up a little bit. But instantly you see my back is sore, swinging out. And if they had the indestructible here, Rock, maybe they could have flipped around a 1v2, maybe they could have had a chance for the outplay. But without it, and with like the 20-ish second cooldown at rank 1, yeah, no chance, and that's an easy kill. Coming in for the side of Luminary, who are closing in on the feat of Warfare. They might get it with that 3rd kill here.
Well, for right now, Sad is trying to bring something back, but of course that spin to win, doing a little bit of damage, flashes over the wall, but you can see them trying to run away. With that Stride Breaker, you have some good catch threat, but running away is a little bit of the problem. Nice stun over the wall. Sad, of course, just kind of like, okay, that's what I'm dealing with. And everyone goes back to a neutral state, but of course MPEX trying to step up, does have barrier up, but no flash, so that is a safe play by Clove as they are running back to safety.
Yeah, Eclectic there, massive on that polymorph, in addition to the chompers, buying enough time for Clove to get away. Still got a super mega death rocket, but nobody's really that low, and Sad now starting to struggle a little bit in the mid lane. It seems like really bad Zed actually grasped the waves of this lane, so the ebbs and troughs are not going to concern them that much anymore. So mega death rocket will indeed interrupt the recall of the Kog'Maw though, which might be a problem, because if I am on the side of Northeastern Red, I might just say, hey, Eunuch, Now we've cancelled the Kog'Maw recall. Sit in the bot lane and we can just play dive.
Try and play it, play it a little bit safe. Don't go too crazy. You have the board completed, so for Mpex and Lolibra, you're gonna go ahead and kind of slow down that pace. But Sad in the mid lane is still like, bro, what am I dealing with here? I'm constantly getting berated by my Bacchus Sor, who with those 2 kills is still waiting for the first item completion. But we do have the Herald coming up in just a few. Dragon will be up in about 2 minutes, and the fun part again is that is going to be the Infernal. I didn't even mention that before, but it is going to be very, very fun to play for Eunuch. Of course, 0-0 and 0 has had very little impact on the map, but did go for the AP build with those Merc Treads in tow.
Yeah, it's a standard build. You just go Leandres and then you go back into playing tank. Leandres as well from my Bacchus Sor, so very standard items. Of course, Faded Ashes is very strong, but the Nature's Grasp is even stronger. No flash from Samurai, so he's rooted down.
Yeah, but of course he does have that healing in there, and I don't think anyone really has any great beef to take him down. I mean, you have a little burn, but it's not on Arakanus. So Arakanus did go for that Riftmaker first, but this might be the fight that they're looking for. Really bad Zed could flash, get a wall up, and no, you don't want to expend it. No reason to get crazy, because here on the bot side, that's what you're looking for instead. Remember, the feet did go one way already, but that's going to be a little bit of a twisted advance. Eunuch trying to run away, flashes out thanks to that phase rush, as I just realized about triple phase rushes here on the day. But this is going to be Arakanus bringing in a fight. My Bacchus Sor realizing they're not in a great spot. I think that's just going to be a given offering to the gods there, as Northeastern take one and are looking for that Herald.
The bones of the Luminary shall fill the holes of bones. Because now we go for the Herald. Sad! Somehow finding that solo kill on Samurai. Well, that is divine retribution coming in there for that Garen. That these are 2 kills traded back. So now we are on the edges of our seats for who's gonna get the Defeat of Warfare, because a Defeat of Warfare is grabbed by the side of Northeastern. That's gonna be massive. If they grab the first turret too, they secure the boot upgrades, and it seems like that they will. Nobody's contesting Sad. It's gonna be the upgraded boost instantly showing up as soon as this turret goes away. And also on top of that, they get the Herald and they get a Garen and a Mordekaiser that are proven to be the 1-2 punches of Juggernauts that you do not want to cross.
Yeah, I will also say these upgrades are really, really nice, specifically into a double AP situation, plus a Kog'Maw who, again, doesn't truly do AP, but it's enough, you know, a little bit of a cross in there. One of the main reasons is the Merc Tread upgrades gives a mini Kinnick Rukern, which is huge in this situation. I've seen it used to kind of bolster your ranks behind. A TP coming in on the bot side, those Mpex tried to lay down the pain on Clove, but with everyone kind of coming in along with that Nature's Grasp, I don't know how much more they're going to get, but they are going to try and shred. Samurai Jack is like, yo, I'm fine right now. Arakanus without ult is trying to chase it, but really bad Zed is on their way forward, trying to get it on the mix. Once again, my back is sore in a 1v1, and they might not be able to survive as rest of the team is coming in here. Really bad Zed saying hello. That's a sidestep and a half. What a wait, forcing the flash out of the Anivia, and right now it is looking like a big win, but Eunuch starting to get chunked out as Arakanus eats up that wild growth. And it looks like it is gonna be that beefcake. Everyone on the side of Luminary Gaming barely able to survive outside of my Bacchus Sor, but same thing with Northeastern. They're not extremely healthy in their own right.
Yeah, neither of those teams are healthy, but the Kog'Maw doesn't have mana. If Mpex had mana there, I would be like, oh, maybe they could threaten with an ult or 2 and then take that fight. Never mind, Mpex. I would have thought that they might actually wanted to space that one with really bad Zed going to the other side, maybe trying to push them with the wall. But no, they like to play safely. Makes a whole lot of sense, honestly. Because sure, while they did get defeats, while they did get the second dragon, the game is very easily within arm's reach. You're talking a difference of almost 1,000 gold. Like, it's a little bit over 1,000 gold, but that can be recovered in a single turret. So there's no need to do anything too adventurous. There's no need to take a risk, because if you take risks like these, Sad will not hesitate to swing justice down upon you and show you that spinning is winning.
Beyblade, let it rip. See how fast you can spin here, as this is a duel between the supports. That zap, if that had landed, I'm sure Lolibra would have been a little bit of a tough spot. See the dance here, as Eunuch so far, even though they were a little bit quiet in the early stages, has been a little bit more advanced heavy, which I like. Of course, right now we are still waiting to see where the teams do opt to go for the next turn. Voracious, of course, on the board to take, if you wish, a little extra in terms of that healing bank, in that GA bank, if you will. And now my back is sore, also clearing out wards. Everyone just kind of positioning towards this mid lane.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. As of course, as we said, like the Otacon is there. You're considering everything else. Maybe you'd want to not delay the Otacon because the Otacon is on the top side, which means it can coincide with the Baron in a few minutes. So it makes a lot of sense to maybe stall that one down. My back is sore though. It's towards that bot lane side, and Rock does have the Shadow Realm. So he has a one-way ticket to Brazil, which I'm pretty sure nobody single-handedly want to take that trip, but if needs be, they can be a good meat shield. For now though, nobody's gonna do anything for real. And well, Orbital, we are in for a very boring orbit for what can be the next 2 minutes.
I'm mad that you threw that one in there, Volt. I'm very, very mad you threw that one in there.
I'm sorry.
That is.
You had to say soccer, okay? You had to say soccer.
Well, right now we're seeing a whole turn as really bad Zed is taking an orbit around his Mordekaiser, and not the prettiest way. You're an egg underneath tower, plus a mallet to your head. You ain't surviving that one. Cooked chicken in the underworld.
Oh man, I'm sorry. What can I say? That's an electrifying play from Rock. You know, finding that kill. I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna even try with the puns anymore.
I'm so done with this. I'm so done. All right, listen, we're getting back into the game. And this is another fight as my back is sore. Is like, I can take this fight. Quite honestly, a level 12 Diana against a level 14 Mord. I really don't think you're going to win as well as you can, but that's going to be the flash, and maybe it is. Last auto attack could take it, and you do win. So, proving me wrong, but the fight in the mid lane is a huge thing, as that is a massive grub push in the mid lane. Chasing a half here, as we're going to see this one burn down a little bit further, but only one tower taken total.
A tower and a half. But still, they open up that mid tower. That means that the rotations now are much easier towards the two side lanes, which, with how winning Rock is, and the fact that Sad can mimic that exact kind of behavior towards the bot side, I feel like that mid tier 1 has a lot of value just in trying to either play those rotations from the enemy's jungle POV, or catch their own rotations while they are trying to match Rock and Sad. The bot tier 1 is gonna go down. Of course, the mid tower is still alive for the side of Northeastern University Red, and the red team are slowly scaling their way back to the mid lane, which does make a lot of sense. You got a minute until the dragon, you got 2 minutes until both the Baron that is going to spawn, and of course the Otacon is still right there at the top side. So a lot of objectives, you know, you got the pick of the litter, but I'm pretty sure both teams are going to fight for that Inferno, because not only is it sole point for the side of Northeastern, you really also don't want to give away soul point, and it's a very good timing for you to fight with a fully stacked Rod of the Aegis and the Seraph's Embrace being completed for really bad set.
I'm still just I'm watching this unfold in some of the weirdest ways possible. I mean, this game has been such a shift from games 1 and 2. We had consistent fighting after about 13-14 minutes, I would say, in those, and now we have a relatively quiet pace. I mean, take a look at this. Otacon is being taken without too much aggression. Granted, now it's down to about 4k. We are seeing Sad join on in, TP coming in behind. That's a rocket. Close said, hey, you steal game 2, we steal game 3. What an Otacon rip!
Another super mega net rocket from downtown there, Clove. They do get that one. That's the Otacon, that's the DA. That's why Sad has no care in the world. We'll still expand the flash, so apparently the full life is more important than the real flash in his mind, but it doesn't matter because they get that. They also get the dragon behind that one, so it's a double whammy. And I feel like it's not just salt to the wound. At this time, we might see some repeated cuts because you still got the full life, and you can easily take that one into the Baron that is spawning right now after that reset.
I think you could, but at the same time, I don't know how much you really want to field here. Keep in mind, even though the game has been relatively quiet, we only see about a 1.4k difference. I could see that going. However, I would like to see them also push down some of these extra towers. I mean, mid tower could go down. You could use the extra GA just to give yourself a little extra boost in there and get some more gold. I mean, Clove has been relatively quiet. We know Jinxes love to farm up, but you're 0-0-0 right now. The ADCs have had almost no impact in this game whatsoever, and we want to see some extra gold still funneled their way. Granted, CS numbers are great. 235 right there for the Jinx, but I don't know if tossing up a Baron with the Otacon GA is the way to go.
Is it? You never toss it up though. That's the sweet part about full life. You don't toss it up. You like hit the Baron. You bring it down to like 7k. So they are threatened that, hey, you know, if you don't come here and fend us off that Baron, we are going to take it. And if they come, you flip on the enemy team. If they don't, congrats, you got a free Baron. And that's really the dilemma that you're put in whenever you got the full life on your entire team. And there it is. They're gonna start playing that one. Hopefully they don't do what you say and actually go for the kill. But there are TPs coming in, and it's gonna be an easy turn on that teleporting Mundo.
Yeah, that's rough execution to ensure no healing comes through as well. A grab of sword yet again as Rockinus is like, yo, I am here. I'm gonna bring the damage. Granted, double AP is gonna shred through you very quickly as you don't have a true amount of MR. But here comes the Rocket from downtown, says, hey, let's go ahead and bring some damage on really bad Zed. Baron is still up, and it is gonna be only about 5k. This could be stolen away. My back is sword does have smite. Can you get over the wall is the big question. Quick secure of that damage as it got very low. 1 HP, but they do secure, and that will be Baron over to the side of Northeastern as they look to chase down. MPEG steps up way too far. Ain't no way you can do anything, and that is Northeastern to secure 3 plus the Baron.
Well, Clove is a new jungler. Sign them up, guys. Super Mega Death Rocket, Chompers, and, well, Fish Bones are all better than that smite. And they will beat both of them. So they got the Baron, they got those kills. Only a single full life was expended, but now that it's fallen away, Sad has to be careful not to give their own lives away. That will not be the case. It's a shutdown on the Garen. So they are thankful they haven't given that one over. And now this is prime time. This is the happy hour for turrets. You got 2 juggernauts that nobody's going to be able to go pound for pound in the 1v1s. They can play top and bot, keep the Jinx in the mid lane, and you can easily use the Maokai as your pivot with the Nature's Grasp.
You can play this one really, really neatly. So we'll see what they can do right now. This is still a little bit of a test in terms of, I would say, Luminary. Luminary still have a few options. But as you said, the Juggernauts, they need to be able to group up. They need to be able to fight, and this is not the way to do it. We said group up, not solo out. My back and sword was just trying to get a camp, and they are deleted. Clove is now on a killing spree. We said we want to see more kills into the ADC, and they've done so. 3 items deep right now, looking for a few more crit hits to really stack up those arrows, and it looks like it's going to happen as bot side is taken, same as the mid, and this feels like the end of the game right now. Granted, it probably isn't, but who's to say, as they are going to push a little bit further and look towards that bot lane as well. Dragon is up in a minute only, and that is going to be, I think, that big calling card. So let's go ahead and see that inhibitor go down, and they will either leave or be very happy. That's a good stun. Clove eats a lot of damage, but again, they are very happy with the extra shielding they got on.
Unfortunately, Orbital, you say that this might not be the end of the game, but they just basically put this game on ice. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. That's 2 inhibitors. You get the dragon, you go out there with the soul, and there is no winning that one, because the gold lead now has grown from what was around 2,000 to almost 8. And with the soul, that's also a lot more value. That's why we're seeing a final desperate attempt from Luminary. They need to push those waves. Unfortunately for them though, they are Baron empowered, so they have no chance pushing those super minions that are Baron Nashor enhanced. But they're trying their best. They're trying to keep their numbers. While they are keeping mid though, bot is the one that's going to be the real problem, and that's why they can't push. It's going to be a free dragon, it's a free soul. And this is the silver bullet from the blue team and Northeastern. They might have fumbled a little bit in game 2, but game 3 is looking much cleaner. Oh no.
Yeah, this
I think it's
yeah, well, Rockinauts is just like, I really don't care. I mean, I have 6 seconds of playtime, And that 6 seconds is all you really need to draw everyone else back in. The Super Mega Death Rocket splits the uprights, but it allows Clove to get the sprint aside. It is a triple for Rockinus, and that might be the final straw in the backside. TP straight into the base as Rockinus is like, yo, your base is exposed. You have nothing to be able to defeat me with, because even if I die, my team is shoving topside. We will play the long game. We will play the long con, and that is all you can ask for. Samurai Jack is about to be Samurai. I don't know. This is gonna be death for that Mundo. Corporate Mundo does not walk your own way, and this is the end. Northeastern University Red able to come out in 3 games and take their first series victory here in the Aegis Defenders League.
Yeah, you know, just like Connie, the third one is the graduation. You got the first and second one, you know, one could be a classic, one could be a fumble, depending on how you want to view it. But at the end of the day, it's a very well-played series from the two teams. And as we've said, it's going to be Northeast University Red that will be able to return fire on that one, hold themselves together. And honestly, this game 3 looks much better. And I feel like the centerpiece for this whole series has to be that Mordecai. So when Rock is in form, when Rock is ahead, you can tell how much easier it is for Northeast in comparison to when he was behind in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, even without the Mordekaiser, even in game 1, we saw kind of that strength, that kind of weight thrown around in there, and it was very, very impactful. I'd also like to point out that we saw, Cloak be able to have a little bit more impact. That Varus was great with the ults. Game 1, game 2 was a little bit waiting, but we saw the strength that you can bring out, great farming, and make sure to stay alive. Granted, it didn't really pop up till late game, but it was there. And then the Maokai, being able to
shut down the game, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like that auto steal, that's the whole game.
Oh yeah. And Clove was like, yo, that's great. I got that victory. But it was also redemption all the way around, I think, for everyone. Sad. 4-1 and 2 in there. Rough game in game 2. Came back with a very interesting pickup there.
Yeah, and you know, we expected when we were seeing the draft, it's actually going to be Diana in the mid lane, and it's going to be really bad set on that, and then we're going to see a different jungler. So the fact that this Garen was still being able to contend in CS, actually kill this Anivia, and be a very big threat throughout the rest of the game was very impactful. We haven't seen him struggle in the same way that we've seen him on the Swain. So well played, really, from their side. But, you know, at the end of the day, it came down to the same problems. You don't allow Juggernaut to get ahead. And Rogius had a free laning phase where he just was able to scale. And when the skirmishes came around, he was one of the primary beneficiaries of those team fights.
It was very, very fun overall. Congratulations to the side of Northeastern University Red for getting their first series victory here on the day. That does push them up to be somewhat tied with the standings in 3rd place. If you're looking at the Isles division here, Rubber Ducky Gaming, if they win, they move up to 2-1 in the division. However, if they lose, they're tied at 1-2. Head-to-head might come into play there, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. That was week 4, though, as unfortunately Luminary Gaming have pretty much sealed their end to the season. They do not make top 4, which means that it's going to be very rough in the playoff division. Of course, we'll have to see what more they can do in the future, but at the current moment, we are done. Volt, we want to give a huge shout out to you. Stepped up here at the very last moment. We appreciate you coming on the ADL desk, and we hope to see more of you. Where can we find you around the scene?
Well, you know, Voltcast on Twitter. That's basically it. That's where I'll probably be posting most of the updates. I am from a very different time zone, though. So to all the NA folk, guys, like, you know, you might see me once in a blue moon, but as somebody who lives in the EU time zone, I'll be trying to be here, you know? I'm pretty much...
Yep. Well, that's going to be it. Oh, wait, no, he's back.
As far as they go. So hopefully this comes out well. Oh, wait, I cut out?
No, he's good. He's good.
Yeah, that's how
good.
nocturnal I am. I turn dark when we speak all the time. So
it's all good. Volt, we appreciate you joining in here today. Thank you so much for joining us here on the ADL. To everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for tuning into the ADL and to watch this week 4. Remember, next week will be week 5 and the end of the regular season. After that will be all playoffs as well as qualifiers, so make sure to stay tuned there. We have more games throughout the entire side of the week. All the Aegis leagues will be running through this week as well. Make sure to stay tuned to the socials to see which matches will be played there. My name is Orbital. With me has been Volt, as well as Ice Fire Red Cast on the production side. We also want to give a big shout out once again to Zen Market for being the sponsor here today, and we'll leave you with a word from them once again as we end the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great night.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
全マーケット。
ジャムケット。
ありがとう。
ございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。